and put that in there, and it was.
Damn, you went for it, bro.
The fact that I mean, he's so extra on how he reheats pizza.
I really am.
The fact that I even have got him to the point where he will eat any kind of leftover,
I'm not a leftover
is
guy.
amazing.
Neither is my
like, were you
boyfriend.
like a king in your last life? Like, you're too good to eat a meal twice in a row?
Have you met me? Of course I was.
Okay,
good Lord.
so we are currently live now on YouTube.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
That's how we want to open up.
Leftover pizza time.
It's okay. It's a WandaVision review / mukbang. So
no, everyone's fine. So for everyone watching us live, welcome to the first annual MCR Marvel Cinematic Review. This is where we will be breaking down all Marvel shows. So WandaVision will lead us right into Falcon and Winter Soldier, which will lead us right into Loki, right into What If. So it'll be a lot of fun. Huge shout out to Tia for the name. I couldn't think of anything. It was the at Wacky Wanda.
And I wasn't quick enough on Messenger.
Patrick literally was like, "Hey, I got it." I'm like, Tia just sent me something.
Oh.
I was like,
yours was better than my suggestion anyway, so you're good.
Wait, what was yours?
Well, it had something to do with dumpster fire, but it was really clever and quippy. But yeah, no, don't worry about it. Tia was so much better.
Mine was Wacky WandaVision. So
yeah, Tia added the class to it, so I love it.
That's why Tia's here.
That's right.
But yes. So this is we will have a lot more. Well, not a lot. Let me not exaggerate. We'll have a few more people joining us. So we can get this thing kicked off. But first of all, as you guys can see on our screens, we have our names and the companies that we are associated with. Please, if you do not follow anybody that you see, follow them now. Again, we are all very different. We talk about some of the similar things, but we are all extremely different. So make sure you're giving everybody their just due and following everybody here. Also, huge shout out to Dakota, who did not only the artwork for our new show, but an intro video for our new show. He will be watching episode 1 and 2 tonight, so that's why he was not able to make it on here, but we wanted to send him all of our love. Dakota, we supremely appreciate the amazing job you did. I've been very annoying with him Monday through Friday about getting this done, so thank you for your patience. And everyone, please, on our Twitters, on all of our Twitters, we've given him a lot of love today. So make sure you guys go check him out and follow him on Instagram and Twitter. All right. So first up, I want to get introductions started. First up, from Kinda Nerdy Girls and Kinda Nerdy Dudes, KJ and Patrick, how you guys doing?
So great. I mean,
You're doing really great.
You can tell from the jersey I'm wearing, I'm pretty happy right now. I have many fandoms. One of them is the Green Bay Packers. So yeah, I'm riding high right now, and sort of have been riding high since we watched WandaVision. So it's been a fantastic weekend for us.
Yeah.
Yep, and I agree. I have Juan, you and I have been talking. Angel, we talked. We did our episode earlier this week, the preview for WandaVision, and discussed theories. And ever since that, I've just been like super geeked and just really wanting to just like throw this out there and just like let's do this.
Yeah, I was very impressed on. We weren't that far away on some of the things. We were like, okay, it could maybe be going here a little bit and here a little bit. It was like, okay, all right. It'll be a lot of fun to see how this show ends, to see if we were anywhere remotely close.
Right.
I think the grand scheme of everything.
Yeah, we're totally in the infant stages, but yes, it's exciting.
100%. But they've already flirted with a few things that I'm like, nah, I caught that. You thought I did. So, I mean, look, I'll even say this. This show is so crazy. It had me Googling French of a wine bottle. That means something. I know what that means. But we'll get into all of that. But next up, I want to introduce Angel from the GOAT Movie Podcast. What's going on, Angel?
Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me on here. I just want to say what a pleasure it is to come here, come together and to hear your experiences with this show. I can't wait to break it all down. To quote Iron Man from Iron Man 2, "Oh, it's good to be back." I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Not only with you guys, but oh, it's good to be back when it comes to Marvel content. To break down this show, what a pleasure it's going to be. I can't wait.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this, like I said, is just the beginning. I'm glad we all could come together and do this. This doesn't really happen that often, guys. And I want us to start that trend of it being something that happens more often, where all the geeks get together and we break down stuff together. Next up, from the SportsBar podcast, the reason why I do not turn on ESPN anymore, because that is where I go for my sports. What's up, Chris?
Hey, what's up, Juwan? What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Glad to be here. Let's break this thing down, man. Let's do it.
Absolutely. As you guys see, all those comics and pops and stuff right behind him. Man lives it. Man lives it. Next up from Geekly Goods, Leo. What's going on, Leo?
What's going on, guys? Excited to talk some WandaVision. Man, Angel, you took the words right out of my mouth, man. Finally, we're back. Finally, back in the MCU.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to talk some WandaVision. It feels like a cousin you haven't seen in like 10 years. Like just 1 year from the MCU. And I got some money up on the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs and the Packers are going, so I'm happy the Packs won today. And feeling good, guys. Can't wait to talk some WandaVision, y'all. This is going to be tight.
Absolutely. And I can pretty much say that's a safe bet. Packers, Chiefs. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Got any comments on that one there, Packer fan?
I hope it's a safe bet.
I was expecting don't jinx it.
Right. I was hoping for Packers Chiefs last year, so if we had that opportunity again, that would be awesome.
Aaron Rodgers was mad about that Jordan Love pick. He going all the way.
100%. He's trying to show him, hey, I'm here for the long term. Don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, two people I'm a little familiar with. I don't know. I don't really know them all that well. But Dom and Tia from GeekVibes Nation, how are both of you doing?
Juwan likes to act as if he doesn't message me every day asking how I am. So,
Every single day, religiously.
The rest of us want to know.
To piggyback on what Leo was saying, it's like the gif from the old lady from Titanic. It's been 84 years since we've had new Marvel content. Yeah, I actually have WandaVision playing in the background right now. And one of the things that I missed, and we'll get into probably, but the first commercial with the toaster, that it was from Stark Industries.
Yeah.
Totally missed that the first time I watched it. And I was in the kitchen and it played and I was like, oh. So very excited to talk about this and for you guys probably to reveal things that I might have missed along the way.
Yeah, that there's a few things in that commercial that stood out to me that we will definitely be touching on. But yeah, that's why I was telling Angel and Patrick when we did What to Expect. It's why I have to be in complete silence when I'm watching these things, because something like that'll come and then you'll go, wait, hold on, what just happened? Now I have to go back. I've watched this at least 4 different times between 3 a.m. on Friday to now. Just in case, I'm like, there was a chance maybe I sneezed and someone said something, like, let me watch it again. So I feel like I wrote these shows with as many times as I've seen it and have memorized everything about it.
So, like, have you developed a tick already after watching it so many times? Like,
it's crazy. I went through that phase when that Batman trailer dropped last I watched it so much. It honestly, there was a moment where I couldn't sleep unless I watched it. So all that craziness poured out of my body with that. So I'm fine now. Like,
all right, good to know.
Yeah, that almost put me in the hospital. Dom, what's going on?
I'm good, man. A pleasant surprise with this show, and it's going to be one of the shows, one of the first times I ever watched the show and started to write notes when I'm not reviewing something.
Mhm.
I knew this was gonna be full of different kind of Easter eggs, and I was just saying, I was looking up these names in the credits and trying to figure out what's what, because I feel like everything is something. And even if we don't know it now, eventually it's going to circle back to something that we saw in an early episode. So yeah, it's very exciting. I'm feeling really good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I told you guys, I hope you're ready. I'll ask everybody else when they pop in, but I told you guys we're starting off this first ever review together with me asking you guys, who do you think is a Skrull? I'm trying to work in these fun theory questions for every week that we do this. I'll kick it off, so I'm not putting any pressure on anyone. I will start it off.
Oh yeah, what's your big reveal? You were like
Yeah.
really holding back.
Typing it. And
Let's
wait,
hear
I
it.
loved it because Angel and Tia were like, this person? No. This person? No. All right. So the person that I am almost 1,000% sure is a Skrull in the current MCU is none other than General Ross.
Oh.
Where I'm going with Ross was the Sokovia Accords. I can almost guarantee you was not the idea of the president, but was the idea of Ross. If anybody watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes, to see how something so small divided the Avengers enough to where the Skrulls could land with no problem whatsoever. Think about what the Sokovia Accords were meant to be. We need to know where you are. We deploy you when we decide. And if we decide, it's important enough for you to go. So how do we know that something's not happening with the Skrulls somewhere over someplace? And Ross is like, no, you guys don't need to go over there. We'll contain it. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Right? He also had a line about he had a heart. This is during the movie of Civil War. He had a heart attack 5 years previous to that, right? And he said he gained perspective after that. I completely believe by that it was like a wink of they replaced Ross with a Skrull. And the perspective was how to take down the Avengers from the inside and divide. Because think about it. What credit do we give the real main villain of Civil War? His plan worked. It was to divide the Avengers, and it worked.
Yep.
But who's to say that this wasn't something? These weren't seeds that were planted by Ross for us to see really kind of sprout. So Ross is who I think is a Skrull. I do believe when we see him in Black Widow, in Black Widow's movie, we'll see a little bit more of what he's working on or what he was working on before Infinity War. But Ross is who I'm going with. I haven't heard many people say Ross. Angel and Tia were throwing me names that I was like, no, I've heard those. And part of my mind was like, yes, it could be. But the one no one was paying attention to is the guy who at the moment had a lot of say on what was going on with the Avengers and ultimately caused that rift to leave things wide open. So that's my pick. General Ross. I think he is a Skrull. Next up, I will go to Angel. Angel, who do you think is a Skrull in the MCU?
Well, first of all, I thought what your theory, I think, is completely spot on. Now that I think of it, it completely makes sense. So I actually have to agree with you. Originally, I sent to you that I thought it was Agent Hill, who was a Skrull the entire time, which kind of makes sense too as well. I mean, we saw the reveal at the end of, I believe it was Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
When her and Nick Fury were Skrulls, and you see Nick Fury out in space. I definitely think she could have been a Skrull the entire time, but General Ross, I think, makes the most sense and I think would be most impactful for the story. And here's why. When you think of the Skrulls, these beings who can take the appearance of other people, I feel like he would be a high valued target because he is the Secretary of State. And also he has ties with the Raft, which includes a lot of super powered beings there. So I feel like there's a lot of potential for candidates of more Skrulls to come in and invade. So I definitely agree with you on that. I think General Ross for sure will be a Skrull for sure. And it would also kind of make sense why Ross wouldn't mention, like when he's showing the Avengers, look at all the destruction you guys did. It would make sense why he didn't mention the destruction he did in the Incredible Hulk, because the Skrull wouldn't remember the past. So I love that theory.
Absolutely. To me, it's just one of those things to where it's like, it's the reveal that would catch us most off guard, right? Like I remember being very angry that Fury wasn't just a Skrull. Like it was just him taking over Fury while Fury was doing sword stuff up in space, because I was the main one. I remember maybe about like 2 years after Winter Soldier, I was sitting down, I was like, what if Fury died and a Skrull replaced him, and that's why he's still alive? You know, and then when you see Captain Marvel, it makes it make even more sense. Like, what if the Skrull, you know, Fury before he died was like, look, the world needs a Fury, and then he came in to replace him. And then after Spider-Man, I was just like, oh, I hate it. That would have been perfect. But yeah, so yeah, I think Ross would be the surprise no one would see coming. Now they will, hearing me say it. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah, I think it would have definitely caught people off guard. But Leah, I'll go to you next. Who do you think is a Skrull in the MCU?
Oh my God, I was totally on the same train of Nick Fury. I was like, there's no way he can survive a crash like that. Come back. They met with him in the hospital, and then totally a Skrull turned into him. It's been that the whole time. I honestly haven't really thought about it, guys, to be honest with you. So I really don't have an answer, but man, you got one there with Ross. I think that's very convincing. And I think what I like about the Maria Hill one that you talked about, I like that it's a character that we would never expect. Somebody who's just been on the inside the entire time and knows all this information, is buddy with Nick Fury, knows everything. But nobody would really ever expect that character to be a Skrull. So I like the Maria Hill, and I'm going to back you up on that one, man. I haven't really thought about it too much myself.
And also, to go to your point, Angel, remember how closely she worked with the Avengers during Age of Ultron. She worked for Stark.
Right.
You know, she was moonlighting, working with Stark while still working with Fury in the background. But she was very close to the Avengers at that time. There could be little seeds that were planted, you know. So love it. I completely love it. So our theory so far is government. That's what it's starting to form into. So that's what it's looking like. It's leaning towards. But before I go to the next person, KJ, I think we got some comments.
Yeah. So I just wanted to. Well, one, I'm totally in with the Maria Hill theory. When I got thinking about it, it's like she's such an integral part of everything that happens, and we don't really know anything about her, especially if you haven't read any of the comics, or or you've just seen the movies. She has been crucial and in the meetings and knowing what's going on, but you never really know why. Like, you never get any other story. So to me, I mean, what you're saying, Joanne, totally makes sense. And I hadn't thought about it that way. But when you asked this question, I immediately went to Maria Hill, because I have been a little disappointed that we haven't learned more about her. Maybe there's a reason for that. We've got like a lot of comments.
Ton of comments.
Yeah. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We haven't had a lot of people chime in on this one. So if you think somebody's a Skrull and we haven't talked about it yet, please comment. But when we do start getting into WandaVision, Jim popped in immediately and was like, needed to get this thing going.
And this is listener Jim from the Kind of Nerdy Dudes podcast.
He did not like WandaVision at all. He thinks that they should have went with the Widow movie out of the gate. I asked him why. He said it was way too much cheese, over the top. I'm sure that was the point, but then he added that his parents forced him to watch a lot of TV shows like that growing up. So he didn't really want more of that.
Well, I respect that completely. I'm not a big fan of cheese either. It's why 80s movies are a really dark period for me. I just don't like I get what you're trying to do, but just like you forcing it so much. I just never really liked it.
Wait, Juwan, I gotta ask you.
Oh, my bad.
Do you like RoboCop?
No, not really. Let me say this. I prefer darker versions of everything. So the original thought was great, right? but I don't ever go back to it. I do prefer the newer RoboCop. I really do.
I actually did like the 2014 one too, but that's probably only because Joel Kinnaman played the lead there. So, I'm, very typical.
That is not why I liked it, but fair.
Stop lying.
I've got a quick question. Are we talking Skrulls in the entire MCU, or are we also talking in the show? Because I think some of the people that keep on popping up a couple times might be Skrulls. Like
if you have a person specifically, yeah, sure.
I think all of those regulars, like Herb in the second episode, the woman who plays Katie Foreman, I think they might be Skrulls, and they might possibly be trying to infiltrate Wanda on what's going on in this maybe pocket universe we're in or whatever. I definitely think that town that they're in is like fabricated, some kind of little alternate reality or small pocket of time that they're in. But I think that all those people there know something, and maybe they're Skrulls.
We're definitely going to get into that.
And Film Optics on the live chat also said that he thinks Herb's a Skrull as well. So there you go, Leo.
Interesting. Go ahead, Tia.
No, I wanted to respond really quick to I don't know how to take my freaking hand off here. Sorry.
I got you.
Okay, thanks. Feel like a kid in class. Hi. I wanted to respond to Jim really quick because I feel like, and I totally respect where he's coming from with this, but I think we had different mindsets when it came to that because I grew up with my grandparents growing up watching all of those type of shows like Bewitched, I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke Show. Grew up watching all of them, and for the time that was like looking back in as a 21st century lens, you're like, that is so cheesy, it's so outdated. But I feel like WandaVision, at least from the first 2 episodes, is like playing into that. Like obviously they're not trying to mimic it because they thought maybe it was so great. It's like, and we'll get into it, but I was telling Juwan, like the stereotypical housewife in the 1950s, how to keep your husband. And it's like,
right.
to me, I don't think that the Marvel writers are looking at it going, oh, this is great dialogue. It's like, no, we're making fun of it. So that's where I came from with it, because I thought that was the brilliance of it, that they were like, let's really kind of pay homage, but also kind of make fun at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And
totally agree.
We'll definitely dive into that a lot more, because I think a lot of people, I saw a lot on Twitter, it's not really funny. And it's like, duh, like if you pay attention, even the laugh track, well, it's not a laugh track because apparently it's a studio audience.
Yeah.
The laughing doesn't even line up where they deliver the joke.
Oh my God.
It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to throw you off.
That's what my boyfriend pointed out. We were watching it and he was like, it's not even matching up. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. It's not even matching up.
Yeah, like Wanda would be like, good morning. Ha 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 ha. What? Like, dude,
yeah.
said good morning.
Just a ridiculous. And as someone who interned for a show that had a live studio audience, they tell you when to laugh. You don't laugh on your own. They're like,
right.
So I mean, to me, that's just the brilliance of the show. I don't know, I loved it.
No, 100%. All right, so right before we get into everything WandaVision of episode 1 and episode 2, we do have Tia, Dom, and Chris have to give their Skrull theories really quickly. Patrick, did you give your theory?
Mine, it was funny that Winter Soldier was brought up because I thought Zemo was a Skrull. So your Winter Soldier theory actually kind of holds weight. I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, he is trying to sow the seeds of discord throughout the Avengers and whatnot too. So yeah, that totally made sense.
Well, we'll see. Falcon and Winter Soldier's right around the corner.
Yeah, because Zemo, he's not completely out of the picture yet. So
not at all. Not even close. Dom, I'll go to you next. Who do you think is a Skrull in the current MCU?
I kind of always thought Black Widow.
That's brilliant.
And especially when we knew that they were going to do this movie, and before I knew what it was about. I was like, well, maybe they switched places. So when she supposedly, when she died, when they're trying to get the stone, maybe it wasn't really her. Maybe it was a scroll that sacrificed himself, and she's somewhere being Black Widow, being secretive and doing, because she always knows too much. She always knows what's going on, who the contacts are, and no one ever knows why. You just go, oh, well, she's a spy, and I guess that's why, but is that why? So I don't know.
I like that. That's brilliant.
I would say the only pushback of that is, then again, we'll see, because the way Captain Marvel showed Skrulls when they die is that if they're in human form, when they die, they revert back. So in Endgame, when we see her down there, but again,
we didn't see her long enough, though.
That's what I was going to say. It wasn't there for a really long time. And look, I know people have already debunked it. I don't care. Black Widow was in that Loki trailer. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
In that Loki trailer. So who knows? But again, I just do want to throw out there for people that are like, well, no, they'd revert back. She wasn't there. Like, they didn't have the camera on her for like 5 minutes.
Right.
So
Right.
it could have been boom, So
it may have taken a few minutes for the brain function to stop. So you're good.
Yeah. It's a possibility for sure. And I tell you what, if that Black Widow movie ends where we see her go into green skin and talk to their leader, my brain would explode for sure. My brain would explode more so than my Ross theory, the Maria theory.
Right.
It would. Yeah. Sorry. Tia, I'll go to you next. Who do you think is a Skrull in the current MCU?
At first I threw out Nick Fury. That was my guess to you, but I want to echo the sentiment of Maria Hill, because I do think that's brilliant. She seemingly popped up out of nowhere. She's always just by Nick Fury's side without question. It's kind of like, why? And I also think that if it were, say, Maria or Ross, I wouldn't be as emotionally invested if they were Skrulls. I feel like I would be a little bit more emotionally invested if it was Black Widow, because that would kind of suck for me. Yeah. I would be like, oh, really? This character that I've loved the whole time is really a Skrull. So if it's Maria or Ross, it's like, that would be cool, but I wouldn't have that emotional connection to it. But I like the Maria one just for the fact of what everyone here has just said, because to me it would make so much sense and it would be really awesome. So who knows, maybe it's been Talos's wife this whole time.
Very, very possible.
Oh,
yeah. When you start to look at some of the people we're talking about and the mistakes that have been made from each of the people we've spoken about, we saw at the end of Spider-Man, they were like, Fury, you had a game plan. Sorry. So they've shown that they mess up a lot. Very possible. Chris, last up, who do you think is a Skrull in the MCU?
Never really thought about it a whole lot. But I love your theory. I love your theory. Probably if you'd have asked me before you said that, I would have probably thought Maria Hill too. It was a buddy of mine that used to kick around that we kind of talked about it. We talked about it more than I did. That if we got a little bit deeper, he was saying maybe Hank Pym. If he want, it could actually be a Skrull. And you think about it, he's very knowledgeable. He's smart. Over the years, if we go even deep to the comic books, he's held several identities. He's got a lot of ties to the past. So it's something, you may think about him too if we want to get a little bit deeper into this thing. It could be Hank Pym. But I love your theory though, Juwan.
Yeah, the best one I've ever heard was Stark, and I won't get into why it could be Stark, but their reasoning behind it kind of made me go, "Was Ultron an accident?" We'll never know.
I'm saying if you look at the exoskeleton of Ultron, his head does resemble the structure of a Skrull. I'm just saying.
A little bit. Again, we're all reaching a little bit, but again,
that's a big reach. But
like Mr. Fantastic.
Last really quick thing before we get into WandaVision, I will throw out there though, there was a rumor that Feige was trying to have the original not villains, but like the little underlings of the first Avengers movie be Skrulls. So just throwing that out there. Start going into that little wormhole, and then us not necessarily seeing the exact. Anyway, all right, heading into WandaVision, episode 1. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around. Everyone's gonna give their general thoughts on episode 1. We're not gonna break it down step by step by step. There's just so much here. So Angel, I'm gonna go to you first, man. Episode 1 of WandaVision. First, I'm gonna throw you a lob here. How dope was our new Phase 4 intro to Marvel? And then your thoughts on episode 1.
Dude, it was awesome to hear that music once again. Finally, I think we've been dying to hear that again, and all the images that they utilized. It's so nostalgic seeing it. We've started this journey from Iron Man to now with WandaVision, which is so crazy to think about. I'm just so grateful that they've just been so consistent with this great storytelling. I absolutely loved the first episode of WandaVision and the second episode as well. I definitely do think that this is ambitious programming from Marvel. I really do love the direction that they're taking us. It feels completely unique and intuitive, creative. And I just love that when you really break it down, this show truly does feel like something out of Black Mirror or the Twilight Zone, kind of disguised as a classic sitcom. But I think the coolest part about this show is that it has like an underlying insidious nature to it that is just so captivating, and it catches you in certain moments where your jaw is to the floor and you can't look away. I mean, even the commercials are so good to the point where you cannot change the channel. What show is that? Come on, like who else does it? They have us programmed to watch the commercials themselves. And what's really creative about the writing is that the commercials themselves offer something to the story. I love what Tia mentioned before, like catching something about that commercial before. It deals with Stark. Yes. How does that serve the story though? Well, it could either refer to Vision, being that Robert Downey Jr. was the creator of Ultron as Stark, and Ultron was the creator of Vision, so it's his father. And it also could refer to Wanda as well, how, Stark Industries, his technology, his weapons were the cause of the death of her parents. So that to me is all great. The devil is in the details of this show. Like Catherine Hahn's character says, the devil is in the details, and that's not the only place he's in. So there's just a lot of great Easter eggs in the show that gets you excited. And I think to fully appreciate the show, you have to watch every single MCU movie at the least, because if you don't, I feel like you'll be lost. For example, my father called me that night and he was like, hey, I watched WandaVision. I get that there's a sense of like danger, like something is off. And I'm like, cool, great. That's exactly what you need to know. And he's like, well, I want to have a better understanding of the show. I'm like, cool. Watch Age of Ultron, watch Civil War, watch the journey that Wanda and Vision had together in the movies. And I promise you'll have a better understanding. He did that, rewatched the show and said, this is awesome. So I guarantee if you experience every single movie, you follow along, you will have just as much appreciation for the show as we do, and you will not regret it. And I can't wait for Sam Raimi to handle these characters. It's gonna be so sick, man.
So let me ask you this: your dad watched 3 movies and a show, 2 episodes of a show twice in a day and a half. That's baller, dude. Straight up, that is
you
awesome.
have the coolest dad,
right?
That's a commitment.
Trust me. It's cool, but when all he does is watch Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and everything, it's like, hey, Dad, all right, I'll try to get on your level one day.
Yeah, no, I will say WandaVision. I've said this numerous times. There are some Marvel movies that you can watch without having seen anything before. WandaVision's not that. It's legit. If you've never seen Age of Ultron and at least like Civil War, like at least those 2, you're watching this and you're just like, I don't get anything. So it is good to kind of know a little bit about Wanda, know about the upbringing of Wanda, upbringing of Vision. So you have a kind of an idea on who they are. But yeah, no, this show, man. Yeah, I would say this show might be a little weirder than Black Mirror. Black Mirror is deeper, but this is one of the things to where it's just like, oh, you thought you knew weird. Okay. And then it's like, we're going to get weird here. Next up, I want to go to you, Leo. Your initial thoughts on episode 1 of WandaVision.
Well, when I was first watching it, I was like, all right, Dick Van Dyke show for sure. This just has really cool, over-the-top, physical, comedic acting. I love every detail down to the sound effects, WandaVision themselves. By the way, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen, they play off each other incredibly. And that's some energy we did not see in Age of Ultron. We did not see in Civil War. This is an energy and a light in them we had not seen before. And now I watch it, I'm like, yeah, they've been married for like, what, 20 years, 15 years? They've been married for a little while. So I love their energy together. The uncomfortable part of this episode, as we all know, is when Mr. Hart starts choking. It gets so uncomfortable right there when Mrs. Hart is just like, stop it, looking at them with this creepy glare, and you've got that cool ticking clock in the background. It's like, what is happening? Also, Agnes, come on, she's got to be a bigger character. She's got to be Agatha Harkness or somebody from the comics. And she mentions her husband, Ralph, and she mentions him also in the second episode. And I'm like, okay, is he important? Is he somebody? Are we possibly looking at, jumping ahead a little bit here, are we possibly looking at Mephisto? Like, who is Ralph supposed to be? So I am just so excited to see how all of these little breadcrumbs are giving us every single episode lead up to what exactly is going on. And man, those little commercials, so cool. I like when they press down on the toaster, it's the Iron Man blaster sound effect. Just a great first episode overall. And I've already watched it 4 times now, so I'm feeling good. I can't wait for more of it. And honestly, I'll be real. When you guys are talking about them not laughing at the right spot, y'all, I was laughing the whole episode. So I didn't even notice because I was just laughing my ass off throughout the entire episode. Great references to the era, great references to sitcoms. I can't wait for more, but part of me wonders if for the audience that doesn't necessarily know the MCU, would it have been a little bit better to release this all at once? So then we could go through all the episodes all at one time. That's just my only concern. But honestly, I love that first episode. Love the second one too. Just so good so far.
Usually I would say yes, Leo. Release it all at once. I do not subscribe to everyone going, well, that's how you watch television. Yeah, the whole purpose of streaming service is to replace television. It's why it's not on television. So all at once is what I prefer. But if what everyone's saying lines up and literally each show leads you into the next, I do prefer it that way. You know, rather than we get everything now and now I have to wait all the way to March to get Falcon and Winter Soldier. Then I got to wait all the way to May to get Loki, and then all the way to August. Lead into each other. You know, if you have to lead into each other, do that, especially if what happens in this leads to something that's existing in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then something in that leads into something in Loki. I prefer it that way rather than, man, you know, this came out in January. Now I got to rewatch WandaVision to get ready for Falcon and Winter Soldier in case something, you know, links up that I forgot or I didn't catch. You doing it continuously, it's still so fresh. So I will accept it in that respect, but for nothing else. So the boys, when you drop, all at once. But I do want to bring up 2 really quick things that you brought up, Leo. That dinner was very important for 2 reasons. 1, the wine that Wanda was pouring. If anybody besides me was addicted to figuring out what that meant, it means House of Content, aka House of M. House of Misery or House of Content. So if you go House of Misery, the wine bottle says House of M. But also to your point of the boss choking, the reason why that moment was so important is I do believe Wanda is fighting against something. So there's a push and pull. The push is, this is what reality is, look at it. And then the pull is her going, no. I know what the reality is and I don't like it. So I will not allow you to ruin this for me. So when she stops and gets serious and is like, Vision, help him now. It's like she doesn't like the idea of death. She doesn't like the idea of big issues like that. She wants to mentally get away from it all. So she's sitting at that dinner table and it's hitting her of the reality of like, I know what death looks like. I know what all that looks like. I want no parts of it. So, I mean, we also have to give a little credit to Vision, who is like along for the ride. And he's just kind of like, I do not know what the hell's going on here. But okay. I definitely love that. But Leo, really quickly, I wanted to ask you, how much fun did you have with the whole heart on the specific day? And they're both just like, I know what it is. Do you know what it is? Oh, Lord. And it's like, I don't know.
It was cute, man. I mean, it's like I said, they're just so good together. Their line delivery, their energy on screen together, it feels natural for them at this point. Whereas, in Age of Ultron and Civil War and the other appearances they had together was kind of just like forced, just because obviously they're coming together with the Avengers and things like that. But this just feels like such a comfort for the two of them, and they just bounce off each other so well. So I'm just looking forward to so much more of them. And Paul Bettany is hilarious. This is some stuff he didn't get to exercise in any of the other media. So I just love this unique take. And Marvel is always just taking these chances. And here we are, this is very gutsy to give us 2 episodes at the very beginning that don't generally line up with the formula they have for the MCU. So a lot of the watchers who haven't watched a lot of the other MCU stuff will kind of come to this maybe a little confused, maybe not liking it as much. Like Angel said, you have to guide them to go back to the other content, but it's something unique and fresh and just, it's so good, man. Like I'm ready for some more. I can't wait.
I need more, man, like immediately. Dom, I want to go to you next. Cause you actually saw the movie with Paul Bettany on Amazon. And you got to see like another layer of Paul Bettany there that you kind of see a little bit of here. But how much did you enjoy the first episode and kind of seeing him be somewhat different than the Vision we're used to, but still that lovable, not really, like he's super intelligent, but doesn't understand social cues and stuff like that. I found it hilarious when he goes to work and the guy, what did the guy say? Like, what are you, a robot or something? And he's like, I am not. And it's like, Vision, relax. Like it's a figure of speech. He doesn't really know you're a robot. But how did you enjoy that first episode?
No, this is classic A Knight's Tale Paul Bettany for me when he's playing Chaucer. He's especially well, I don't want to go too far ahead, but that is classic. The way he talks, to his energy, and a little bit of Sheldon Cooper, not with the weird social cue he doesn't fully understand. But like Leo was saying, the chemistry is stupid. I don't understand. Like I don't know if they were just built to be in this era of TV, because the acting is, yes, it's over the top on purpose, but it's to that point where it feels natural. It doesn't feel like they're trying to be over the top. Like the face acting is amazing. Like especially Elizabeth, it's a lot of the extra mannerisms that makes the character pop that much more. But no, the episode was great. I love the cheesiness, like especially like when my wife and her flying saucers, and my husband with his indestructible head. Like it's fun and light, and it's a good intro into something we know that's eventually going to get darker. Like Angel was saying, it's ominous throughout a lot of it. So you need that light to kind of balance like what's to come. And I'm trying my best not to go too far, because like Tia, I saw the 3rd episode already. But the first one is definitely a good start. And the way that the show is constructed, the Marvel universe, especially in the comics, is so vast. It gives everybody a chance to go back and look up things. And once like all of us, just like if you're on YouTube, you look up something that goes into something else and something else. You end up in a rabbit hole and you find things that you never even thought of before. And that's what this show is providing for all of us, to go back and this person, that leads into this, or it could be this. Because I've heard people talking about a lot of different things, especially after the 3rd episode, that there's a lot of different possibilities where this could go. But yeah, this first episode was a great start.
No, 100%. And it's just crazy. Like, first of all, let me just say I'm very ashamed of myself, because I did tell everyone, like, if we get the screeners or whatever, like, I'm not gonna watch that 3rd episode. Like, I'm gonna stay consistent with the weeks. And then
really?
yeah, 100%, 100%. And I did until maybe last night. I think I caved. Like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, it was sitting with me after watching the 2nd episode again, to where I was just like, man, I wish I knew like what happened next week. And then I went, I could know. Like, I could just watch it. So I broke, and it's definitely one of my lowest moments. but yeah, like as I'm writing my notes, I'm just like, oh no, you can't say that. Like no one knows yet. So that's why I had to write notes to make sure I didn't start running my mouth. But I wanted to give a shout out to listener Jim in the comment section. He was saying, is it wrong that I feel like Marvel is making me think way too much? I asked him what he meant, and he said looking for connections with everything. I'll tell you no, but here's the good thing. You have us to tell you all the things that you might have missed, or, you didn't really give too much thought to. That's our job. Let us do that for you. You watch it, enjoy it for what it is, and then stuff like the wine bottle that a casual watcher would go, I could care less about it. That's what Juwan's here for. I'm here to tell you that it translates to House of M. So just let us do that for you. You just go into it, enjoy it for how you enjoy it, and let us do the heavy lifting for you.
Real quick, I had a quote I wrote down in the first episode that I thought was very weird, and I think could possibly be hinting to something bigger going on. It's when they're at the table and they're questioning them, and Mrs. Hart says, hold on, they're setting up their story, just let them do it. What does that mean?
Well, I think that also, I'm sorry, jump right in here.
No, jump in.
But, I think I was saying at some other point that we're so used to with Marvel movies, right? You sit there in one sitting. So whatever they're setting up in the beginning, you see obviously where it's going. You see the end by the time you walk out the theater. But with this, it's like you see these two episodes. And if you're maybe a casual viewer out of context, you're like, where is this going? Maybe you don't necessarily want to continue watching because it's a little strange and you don't understand it. Maybe because, you don't, maybe know the behind the scenes sort of information. So her saying like, hang on, they're setting up their story almost seems like to me, like them telling you like, give it a second. In any show, the first few episodes always set things up. You just have to have a little patience. But with streaming things, we're so used to seeing it in one swoop. So we'll be like, oh, by episode 3 or 4, it gets good. But this is so to me, that's kind of what it almost felt like.
I feel like people who are interested in checking out WandaVision, they can't make the same mistake that people made by not watching Ant-Man and the Wasp. Look what happened. They didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp. They didn't see that Scott was in the quantum realm. And so the beginning of Avengers Endgame was extremely confusing to them. Well, that's not Marvel's bad. Marvel is catering to the general audience and their fans specifically. So it's like, you should be able to, if you are interested truly in watching this story and catching everything, you should watch the rest of the content.
Well, and I agree too, because like now that like we grew up, we are not grow up, we are now in the streaming culture. Everything drops all at once. So if you think about like all the shows that you binge watch and everything else, like say if you watch a Netflix show, we'll just use that arbitrarily, that like they drop a 10 episode series, you watch all 10 episodes like that quick, right? And then then at the end of it, someone says, oh yeah, I remember that. And you're like, no, I don't, because you watched it so fast and you forget so many key plots. So that's why personally, I like the whole, like put out an episode a week that Disney Plus has been doing, like with Mandalorian and now with, with the MCU rebooting with WandaVision.
Well, the only thing I'll say is that, like, I'll give you an example. CBS All Access right now is doing The Stand. And I personally think it's boring. And I haven't checked it out after episode 3. And it's a week by week thing, because I'm like, that's not worth it. I'm not seeing it. But maybe if that came out all at once, I'd be able to see maybe it picking up. And I'm hoping, by the way, it picks up, and I'll maybe try and watch it when it all comes out. But that's where I'm at right now. And I'm hoping that those who are maybe feeling that way with WandaVision, the 3rd episode's great. I'm not going to give anything away, but the 3rd episode is awesome. And you can tell after the 3rd episode that shit is going to go down.
Well, and I wonder, Tia, if I'll be interested to see if they release what the numbers are like, because I do feel like to listener Jim's point, and that they're making me think too much. I've had several people reach out to me, including our producer Jonna, who I actually said, "Watch this tonight; it'll make sense to you." But I don't feel like there's been in the MCU ever any kind of movie, anything where some of the audience didn't know what was happening. Like you could watch it as a comic book lover and get things out of it that the casual viewer would not, but the casual viewer still had fun and understood the story. And this, I do feel like, was a big risk and departure for Marvel in that if you were not paying attention to every single thing, you were not going to understand the nuances of where this is heading, and it could seem boring or not interesting to you because Marvel's never done that to you before. This is new. This is like, you're going to pay attention. You're not going to know what's going on. You're probably going to have to research some stuff unless you're the ultimate fan. And even when you're the ultimate fan, I mean, Joanne, you were still looking stuff up as well. Yeah. So I do wonder if there will be people who say, I'm not interested in this because it is more work.
No, I mean, for sure. From what I hear, these shows are love letters to the fans. Like, for example, when Falcon and Winter Soldier released their trailer, I saw maybe a few different geek groups talking about it, but I lost my mind. No one noticed. Like, you guys know that that city that they were in that looked like it was a nightlife city that Bucky and Falcon were walking through? Yeah. No one really knew what that city was. I knew immediately. That's Madripoor. Do you guys know who Madripoor is connected to? Wolverine. So I'm like, is there a possibility we get some old stories about a guy with claws running through causing havoc in Madripoor? So to me, it's a love letter to us. You know, I really do. Like, again, the bottle of wine. Elizabeth Olsen was on Jimmy Kimmel saying, like, no, like, that'd be really cool if the prop guy put it in there for that. But no, I think you're giving him too much credit. Yes, that bottle, yes, it's supposed to be a nod to people that were interested enough to look into it. But I will say this. These movies have always been like a lot of people that played Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. In that first Avengers movie where Iron Man's reflecting his repulsor beams off Cap's shield, if you've played that game, you get why that's insane, right? So there's a lot in these movies that are catered for the diehard fans that casual viewers just won't understand, which is fine. Again, it's why these things exist. Us doing shows like this exist.
Right.
I mean, my dad always tells me how when Star Wars first came out, it didn't do well. It became word of mouth that really built up that movie. So to me, it's like, these shows will be the exact same thing. I'll tell you what, again, for all of us that have seen the third episode, once a lot of people like in these comment sections have seen that bragging, they will drive right back. No. I'm just saying they'll drive right back to being like, okay, this is more so the speed of what I'm used to Marvel doing. Now,
so just hang on and you'll start seeing a bit of a payoff here.
Just hang on.
All right.
Yeah, but this.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Yeah, this is definitely, I would say, a sophisticated show in terms of writing, and here's why. Leo mentioned breadcrumbs in the episode. That's exactly right. There are breadcrumbs here. Dom mentioned 2 lines that are actually pretty significant. When Wanda is describing her husband, my husband with an indestructible head, what does that also refer to? It refers to when Thanos ripped out the stone from his head. Yeah. And so it's moments like that where, here's another line. When Vision says, I love my wife's flying saucers. That reflects back to when Wanda was in Infinity War, moving Thanos's ships and hitting the Black Order. So we get moments like that where it alludes to us, those who are invested in this story and pick up on every detail. It alludes to us that maybe everything is being fabricated, like Leo was saying, and this is all in Wanda's head. And so when we do get that dinner scene where the boss is choking and Wanda is like, Vision, help him, it is jarring because what is really happening here? It is creepy. It is eerie. But what I love most about that scene is that Wanda is indicating to us that, yes, her mind is broken, but her heart is still in good spirit because she, like you said, Juwan, wants to save everybody.
Yeah, it's a push and pull with this show. And to listener Jim, no, Please, we are not saying that. We're not saying that. You're not
Don't worry. I will deal with listener Jim on the Kind of Nerdy Dudes podcast.
I don't want any listeners to think it's like any elitism going on here. We're just
not
saying
at all.
there's some certain, there's certain things that, no one wants to give that much energy to something. And I get it. But again, that's why we're here. Same with sports. No one wants to think about cap space and all those, crazy stats
Right.
don't matter. That's what those sports stations are for.
I do a fantasy
Right.
football guy, so yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's like that's what they're there for. They do that for you. So let
You're
us
the
do
cap
that.
space expert of the nerdy world, Juwan.
There we
is
go.
what you're
There you
saying.
go. Juwan is the GM of all things nerdy.
Yeah. Or simply, you wouldn't watch a third movie. You wouldn't watch a third movie in a franchise without watching the first two. Like
Right.
like I've mentioned before, you wouldn't jump in the Lord of the Rings book or movie with the Return of the King first. Like you just wouldn't do that. I think to fully appreciate the story, you would have to check out the first two.
Your first problem is watching Lord of the Rings, but hey, I digress.
Oh,
I'm the villain now. Oh,
Let's reel it back. Let's reel it back.
WandaVision.
Wanda.
I'm gonna back Patrick with that. They were just okay.
Thank you, Tia. Mwah.
All right.
Angel's gonna have a heart attack.
All right, Back to the Future. Back to the Future. All right.
We are going to Chris. Chris, your thoughts on the first episode of WandaVision?
Absolutely loved it. I think everybody's pretty much commented on just about everything I thought was amazing. I wonder though, does Bettany really, before he did this, realize actually how funny he was? Like, I mean, he is hilarious. If you go back and you look at some of the things that we know him for and things that we've seen him in, like Priest and Legion and some of those are more serious roles, So I wonder coming into this, did he really realize how funny he was himself? But the chemistry was awesome in the first episode. And what I loved about it was me growing up. I know you said you didn't like some of the old stuff. Well, you were talking about the 80s, but me as a kid growing up, and I was pretty much raised by my grandparents, through my school years anyway. And, a lot of times when you have those snow days or whatever, where you didn't go to school or you get out of school early, sometimes some of the stations would show some of like the old black and white stuff, the I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke. And I, as a kid, I used to kind of like to watch that stuff because I kind of wanted to see exactly, what my parents and grandparents were watching, back then. So, that had me from the start when I saw that's Dick Van Dyke show, I Love Lucy. So, but I think everything about the show was awesome. And then, you talk about immediately we see the push and pull with the situation, with Wanda. And, and it really makes you think, until certain parts of the first episode, is she really in control of all of this? Does she have part control of all of this? Is there, what's really going on? But I thought it was awesome, an awesome way to kick off this whole thing, man.
Yeah, no. And I mean, Dick Van Dyke, I believe they said consulted with WandaVision to help out on a lot of what was going on with the show. Because just watching it doesn't necessarily help you, but having somebody from it definitely gives you that added edge.
And also, too, as you mentioned about the calendar, what was it, the 23rd?
I think it was the 23rd, yeah.
The significance of that, even with old shows, is that you can go back to the Dick Van Dyke show from what I can remember, I Love Lucy, just about even more recent, but still, older now, like Martin. There's always something about a calendar between, a husband and a wife. And I just love that and how they work that whole deal in, whether it's an anniversary or somebody's supposed to go, pick up something for somebody's birthday or whatever. But I just loved everything about that, and how that, spans through time.
Oh, it's a classic blunder of any sitcom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just love the calendar shot purely because I don't know anyone personally. Like I've never been to anyone's house in like maybe the last 10 years that has a physical calendar. It's like, you have a physical, you guys have physical calendars? I legit, my phone, like, I set like, remind me on this day and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'd see a calendar and probably freak out like, what is that thing?
I love my calendars. Each year is a different theme. Last year was the Defenders. I mean, come on,
Ooh,
man.
I get
there
sports
you go.
calendars. Man. Come on, Juwan.
I just set up a whiteboard.
Sorry.
I just set up a whiteboard
Sorry.
calendar. I'm markering up all kinds of different colors
Yeah.
for
It
different
helps.
things.
I am definitely one of those people that you see in those futuristic movies that has given his soul completely to technology. Like if technology ever failed me one day, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I remember in school, like, Juwan, try doing math without a calculator. I'm like, I don't know what that witchcraft is, but I'm using it.
Juwan sent
I
back to
sat
like
down.
1901 and like, what the hell is any of this?
I would not even know how to maneuver to you. Wouldn't even
I
know
sat
what to
down
do.
this week with a planner because I have a friend whose business is selling planners, and it's a beautiful Harry Potter planner. And I sat down, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write in my planner, and I tried for like 2 days, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Back to my
I
phone.
mean, I'm gonna tell you guys this. When someone told me like, hey, you can like hit a button on your phone and just talk into it, I was just like, I'll never touch that again. Like, that's just how I viewed it. But yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for someone that, I've never really seen any of those older shows, the Dick Van Dyke Show, I Love Lucy. So it's just really cool to see something of my world in that world and see how well it meshes. It's a lot of fun. I've been loving it. I can't wait to see the more modern comedies that they get into. Like it looks like they did Modern Family style. Like I can't wait to see how that.
My faves.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait to see how all these comedies start to play out. But yeah, no. To your point, Chris, that was definitely good to see what it was compared to what it is now, for sure.
Hey, Juwan, I'll say this real quick. If you ever decide to venture through cable or whatever one day, one of these old stations, the scene when she's when Wanda is in the kitchen, when she gets in the kitchen and she's trying her best to whip this dinner up. If you ever see any old episodes like I Love Lucy and some of the some of those classic kitchen scenes, sometimes when their friend Ethel would come over, or even, some episodes of Dick Van Dyke and some of the things that Laura would go through. It was just crazy, man. So if you ever see those things and you compare them to what you saw in episode 1 with Wanda, man, it's hilarious, but it's like spot on.
No, I'll definitely look into it. And the way you said that made me seem like I have no interest in what came before me. You like, if you ever in your time, no, but I will say this. I mean, if it counts for anything, I love The Odd Couple. I mean, if that counts for anything.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. No. I'll give you credit for that. I mean, you're talking about a household that like watches MeTV on a regular basis.
There you go.
So
Guilty.
yeah. See.
I just rewatched The Munsters.
Yeah, right?
And I feel like it still like holds up.
Right.
Surprisingly.
Exactly.
You're really missing out, Juwan.
I will check it out. It's not like I have a hate for it. It's just, I don't know. There's just so much in life I've never watched that I'm just like, I don't have the time for it all with all the new stuff.
That's the cool thing about having rabbit ears on a flat panel TV. You just put them up and then you put on MeTV and just keep it as background noise. And if something's funny, you'd be like, oh shit, that's funny.
Yeah,
and then you're like, hey, keep up with it.
I'm gonna be honest.
Wait, but that's 70 years ago, so you're good.
Yeah, I could never picture that. I mean, I freak out when the internet goes down. So, like, the idea of like, oh man, I got to smack the side of the TV. Or
wait, you never had to do that? You never had antennas? I mean, I had antennas when I grew up. I forget. Juwan's like 12.
Dude, I have 7 TVs in my basement right now because I have a little pub down here. All of them are hooked up to rabbit ears, so I can get
antennas.
Yes, I swear to you. I mean, it's dude, like, because all the digital channels have all the best black and whites, man.
That's some dedication right there.
Yeah, no.
Right.
If any of you guys remember Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the episode where Cap was telling Stark he has to learn how to do things outside of his technology.
Yeah.
And Stark was just like, I don't like this. That
right.
I don't like any of this. But T, I'll go to you. We talked a little bit about it, but what were some of the things that you took away from episode 1 of WandaVision?
Well, first of all, I want to echo sentiments that Chris and Leo said, that Paul Bettany is really hilarious. But of course, Dom pointed out, if you're a fan of A Knight's Tale, you know that he's quite funny. He's just played really serious roles since then, which Chris, I'm so glad you mentioned Legion. I really liked Legion. That was one of my first like Paul Bettany movies, but their dynamic was so great in those first 2 episodes. And as I forget which one said this, but in the movies, we've always seen them be so stiff and wooden. I mean, in Civil War, they had a little bit of banter, but Infinity War, I mean, things were so serious. Yeah, we saw them in the beginning. They obviously had a very romantic night, but then, you know, had to go fight and save the world and yada, yada. So this, it's like, we're seeing them finally get a moment where they can enjoy themselves. And even though we know that this is a construct of something not real, whether it be Wanda's complete imagination or what have you, but it's nice seeing them just play on each other, let them stretch their legs. And I love all the homage to old movies and old TV shows. Telling Joanne that and I think I was telling you guys, I just think it's hilarious, the dialogue between Wanda and Agnes, because I was telling Joanne, I was like, ooh, that whole like conversation was like my nightmare growing up, of the whole, you know, keep your husband. Wow. And I'm like, oh God.
But your wife so you don't lose your wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do.
You know, as a woman, you look back on that and you're like, God, but that was real. Go look up now vintage posters. They're all about, oh, keep your husband, how to keep your husband happy. And it's funny because this is Wanda. She could, you know, destroy Thanos if she really had an opportunity to do so. So I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was great. I love the little comment when Vision was at work and the guy's like, what are you, a computer? And he's like, I'm a perfectly normal human man. It's just funny to me. I love it. I was going to point out another little thing where they pay homage to old shows. Someone on Tumblr was saying how they thought how bad the transition was when Wanda put the wedding rings on their fingers. And I'm like, even that little thing is just look like something you would watch in the 1950s in a black and white show. And I loved it. And if anyone has a problem with it being in black and white, of course, that's your prerogative. You don't have to like it. But to me, growing up with grandparents and watching things in black and white, and Clerks, first of all, being one of my favorite movies of all time, I didn't mind it at all. I loved it. I would be super interested to see the behind the scenes with their makeup, because we'll get into it. But in the end of episode 2, when it goes into color, my boyfriend pointed out, he was like, wow, I would have never known that Wanda was wearing red. And that was, to me, it was just so cool. So I loved it. The first episode was quirky. I wish it was a little bit longer, but still really good.
Yeah, black and white I never had a problem with. One of my all-time favorite directors, in Quentin Tarantino, he likes to dabble in that a lot. And it excites me every time he does it. So black and white, to me, is a format that like, I remember when Logan came out and they were like, oh, we're going to do it in black and white. I was like, that should have been the theatrical version, honestly.
I saw it in the black and white and it was really good. Yeah. Well, because if you get the DVD, I think they, or
right, the Blu-ray comes with it.
Yeah.
To me, that's how it should have been released in theaters, because it did feel like an old Western. And I just think I would have loved it way more if it was in black and white. But yeah, so I mean, I love the idea of that. And, you know, I do love how a lot of people are like, you know, like we said this before, they're digging too deep into the comedy aspect and all that. It's like it balances the serious and the funny so well, but the serious is so off-putting because of how humorous it's supposed to be.
Well, and also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but also I think it's funny, right? It is funny, but I think all of us know that a lot of seriousness is coming our way, and we're sitting there kind of going, oh, this is funny, but this is really sad, because Wanda wants this really just loving time with Vision that she was never able to have beforehand. She's never going to probably be able to have. So in a sense, this is really sad. For as funny as it was, because it's a complete fabrication.
Right. I mean, let's say this, or so we think. I mean,
I know. I'm not saying anything.
We have completely no idea. It just makes sense because of the last time we saw these two characters. Right. That she had to be making this up.
Right.
But like I said, I love the balance of serious and humor, and the reason why the serious sticks out so much is even when you guys watch older comedies. Picture if it's like a joke in the kitchen, and then the next thing you know, it's like, hey, someone got shot outside, and they get like really deep serious, and it's like, where the hell did that come from? Like, I wasn't expecting that. So that dinner was like that. It was just like, oh, it's so funny and weird, and then it's like, no, like it's not like sitcom joking. He's gonna die, and it's like, oh, whoa. Even Wanda had that reaction. She was just like, wait a minute.
He's kind of an asshole, though. I mean, I wouldn't have cared.
Right, he sent that guy packing. That guy had his office in his box. He had
I mean,
quartet in him,
a 5-course dinner,
5-course meal. I'm like, really? You gonna send this guy out? Like the guy who put up all that effort? By the way, I would never have my boss over for dinner.
No, yeah, I saw that. When I was watching that, I was like, who does that? That would make me so uncomfortable.
That's not allowed to happen today.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's against like ethics.
Right? It would be the weirdest thing. Like back then, like you could ask your boss over for dinner, and it was like asking your boyfriend or girlfriend's parents over for dinner. It's not weird, right? But today, who would even initiate it? Like, could you picture going to your boss and going, hey, would you like to have dinner with me tonight? Like,
well, or your boss making it a part of your job. Like,
your wife needs to make a 5-course meal, and God forbid you wear a turtleneck.
Yeah.
You're going to get fired.
So that means I would be making the 5-course meal.
In our house, yes.
Yeah. I am a good wife, and I accept that role. So
yeah, no, for me, it's like Uber Eats, okay? Because that's
right.
They're here now.
Tia, your mom says hi.
Oh, what up, Ma?
Oh, Ma.
Number one
we do have a quick question before I go to KJ and Patrick. We do have a quick question. Are we sure this isn't Wanda making an alternate reality after Thanos killed Vision? This is exactly, yeah.
Totally.
I think we're all on that same mindset.
There was
right.
I have a different theory, but maybe I'll get to that later.
Ooh.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yes, come on, man. Come on, Ryan.
Go ahead.
Well, here's what I think. I think what we have is Wanda having this like mental break, essentially. So what she's trying to do is trying to create this like fabricated world that she can control, and at the same time, like, it's idyllic in her psyche. Like it's all these forms of Americana where everything is perfect and again ideal. So she creates this, but I think Sword is in there to structure it in a way that they're monitoring her to make sure that she doesn't lose her grip on reality completely. And I think her abilities are so untapped that we're seeing, characters that are coming from, like the Beekeeper, for example, popping in there, maybe to check up on her, because that's a Sword agent from all we can tell. But there could be someone who is like, what is it, Agatha?
Agnes.
Agnes, yeah, who could be Agatha, yeah.
Yes.
Who are kind of permeating their way into her mental structure to kind of throw things into disarray. One thing is in terms of like Easter eggs and all that stuff, that could be a thing down the road. If you notice on the clocks, the 6s are missing. So it could be 666. I don't know if that's been said yet or not, but yeah.
No, it hasn't been said. But I did notice that. But to be fair, Ryan, since the first trailer came out, I've been screaming Mephisto. So it's like to see the clocks missing 6s. I'm like, yeah, Mephisto.
The devil is in the details.
Yeah,
that's not the only place he's in.
The only place. Nope. It's like, all right, Agatha, come on now.
I'm telling you, Ralph is him. Ralph is Mephisto.
Well, look, let me say this also. We know how Kevin Feige works. there is a very good chance that he's like, stay here where you guys think it's Mephisto, right? And then we're chugging along. It's Mephisto. Bow, not Mephisto. That's exactly what
Ends
Kevin
up being
Feige-
Nightmare or something.
Yeah,
it could be Nightmare.
Ends up being Nightmare.
I still
I mean,
say Dormammu.
or Dormammu, like you said. But here's the reason why Nightmare makes the most sense. The idea of having all this happiness in Wanda's life, the life she's always wanted, at some point we're assuming gets taken away. That's her biggest nightmare, you would assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
That line's right. It could be either of those. But if it's not Mephisto, I'm riding. But anyway. I want to make that clear. I want to make that fun.
We got to see the red skin.
I gotta throw this in. Where do you think Grim Reaper is going to pop up with what we've seen so far?
Well, look, they have just shown Easter eggs that are just Easter eggs. Like,
Right.
They're just Easter
That's what
eggs.
I'm wondering. Yeah.
I do believe seeing his little mask in that animation art is just a little nod, because we do know Wonder Man is brothers to Grim Reaper, and Wonder Man's brain pattern is how Vision got made. So I think this is more so just a play on that. But look, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Grim Reaper, maybe not in this series, but maybe down the line, as like a throwaway villain at the beginning of a movie or something like that. I'm not against it, but I do think it was more so of like a wink, wink, nod, nod, like the wine bottle.
Yeah, because I'm trying to just picture like what putting them under the floorboard means. Is that just like that's a straight up Easter egg, or like of things to come, or that like she's buried this memory of this character, in her mind, and it's literally or figuratively under the floorboards, and maybe will manifest in some way down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is crazy. When we get to episode 2, it's even crazier. But
Amanda, we're not even on 2 yet. Oh,
no, it's okay. It's okay, Ryan. Amanda G threw in here that she thinks Vision may actually be a Skrull. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I keep trying to say this. Like, as much as people try to downplay it being an Avenger, the Skrull, an Avenger being a Skrull is what would hit the hardest. If we're being completely honest here, it's what would hit the hardest. So, I mean, there's just too many loopholes of pockets that a Skrull could have snuck in. You're not telling me in the course of in-game through time travel, a Skrull couldn't have taken Cap out and replaced them. Like, I'm not saying that's what happened.
Don't you dare.
I know why you said that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Juan.
There's a lot. I'm just saying he was really okay dropping that Hydra line. Like,
right.
Oh no, Cap would have been a little bit more hesitant, even in the face of like, hey, I need to get out of this. Like,
right.
Cap would have fought those guys instead of saying Hail Hydra. Like, he just would have never uttered that out of his mouth.
Okay, well, since we're on WandaVision, I won't say, but we can move along. But
we'll move along here.
I disagree.
We'll come back to that at some point.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be on the kind of nerdy girls podcast for that one.
Yeah, I will say the address for their house is 2800, which could be a reference to Earth 2800, which might be a wink to like New Avengers and whatnot. So
absolutely. AJ and Patrick, I want to go to you guys to wrap us up for episode 1. Your thoughts on how wacky it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in talking about the departure from everything that we have expected from Marvel, that it did take me a little bit of time because everything has been so heightened recently with Marvel from, I mean, for years now.
Delays and everything, and just in 2020 alone.
Well, but I'm just talking about everything that we've gone into with Marvel from it, I think from Civil War on has just been building and building. And every time we got a new movie, you're like, oh my God, it's all building to Endgame. And so I really had to reset my mind that we can just have a little bit of fun with this. Like, let's just watch what's happening and not stress out about it. So once I got there, then I really started paying attention to like this is great. And I think what really loved about it, and it's been hit on a few times, is the fact that whatever is happening, I loved seeing Wanda and Vision have this simple, fun life. Everything has been just, I mean, apocalyptic and terrible, and they've managed to love each other through all of that, and to see them just kind of like lighthearted. And again, the fact that they had such great chemistry that they could do it in this way, and I think that was part of the reason that it was set in the time frame that it was, is because that is a simpler life, like it was. So I really, really loved that, even if this isn't real, that we got to see what Wanda and Vision could be if they were allowed to actually just be happy together. So that was kind of what I took from the first one. And then it was like, what are we going to do in the second one? Because I know that this is not really happening.
Well, and for me, I think like one of the coolest things, like you were talking about, like the chemistry was awesome. But one of the things that like were when you're talking about the like Elizabeth Olsen's ability to have her facial movements to where they were just so subtle to where you're like, I know this isn't real and I'm uncomfortable with this, is what really hooked me about it. And I thought that came through loud and clear on especially the first episode. And like especially and just like KJ said, just the happiness alone, but just seeing that like that whole, I know this isn't real, but this is real, that inner struggle, just in like minor ticks in her facial expression, which I thought were just absolutely brilliant on her part, like how she translated that. But even little things like we were talking about the commercials earlier, with the Stark toaster. And like at the very beginning, I was like, I heard like the repulsor, like Iron Man's, I was like, that's a repulsor. And then the red light came on. I was like, yep, that was a repulsor. And then Stark Industries, I was like, oh, son of a bitch. Yes, I was right. So, but yeah, no, I mean, like overall, episode 1, aces for me, because it was an awesome build up to where it's like, okay, cool. I don't know what's going on, but I love the characters, and Agnes is just fantastic. She's going to be that awesome meddling neighbor. Hopefully Agatha Harkness, coming to fruition. But it was fantastic, and I can't wait for episode 3. So, because I know we're going to get in episode 2. So,
absolutely. And I will say, to your point about Agnes really quickly, the more and more I watch episode 1 and 2, the more I'm convinced that she's being used and manipulated. And what I mean by that, I think she's being used and manipulated, but she's not there by accident. And what I mean by that is, we do know in the comics, she does screw over Wanda, but she also helps her. So I believe she's either A, there to help Wanda avoid Mephisto, or she's there to help deliver her to Mephisto.
Correct. Well, and Angel and you and myself talked about that in the preview show as well. Like when I said that I hope Agnes is Agatha,
right.
But we also said, who does she work for?
Right.
So, is it Nightmare? Is it Mephisto? Is it, and I threw in Dormammu at that time, and so that's the cool thing, because like there's so many options right now.
Yeah. And what's cool about her presence is older shows, nosy neighbors was a thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you look at it and you're thinking, oh, they're just playing off the trope of her being a nosy neighbor. But really, if you look past that, she's always feeling the need to know what's happening with Wanda, because she has to keep tabs on her. And I'll even go into this. I'm going to pass it to you, Dan. There is a move she does to Vision in the first episode that I'm curious if anyone caught. So when she brings the pineapple, right, and Wanda's kind of like trying to rush her out, she looks at Vision and does this kind of thing with her hand that we see Wanda do in episode 2 during the magic show. And it kind of looks like she's kind of like scanning him up and down to kind of see if this is a potential threat. Is it real? Is this a manipulation of Wanda's brain?
Right.
I just looked at that and I was just like, okay, Agatha. Okay. All right. You know, or Agnes rather. I'm sorry. It hasn't been proven yet who she really is, but I still believe they gave it away in the trailer. When you see her in the car talking to Vision in the witch hat, it's like, all right, come on. Really? You think I'm stupid? Like, come on. But Dan, I want to go to you. I want you to briefly tell me your thoughts on episode 1, and then I want you to lead us into your thoughts on episode 2.
Oh man. Well, I think I might be in the minority here. I didn't enjoy it as much. There's only 8 episodes, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
9.
So
Well, 9 total.
9 total.
Okay.
Okay. So that might be a difference changer, because for some reason I thought there was 8, and I was like, all right, well, the first 2, it's building to something, but I felt it was just it was a little too slow, the first episode. I enjoyed the aesthetic. I liked that they played on a lot of old tropes, which was fun, but I really expected to be really thrown more into the plot, but they decided to go with the slow burn. And I don't necessarily hate it, but at first I thought, all right, well, there's only 8 episodes. I'm not sure how much time we can waste on build up here. But yeah, it was okay. I didn't love it, and maybe it was because we waited so long for something Marvel that I had gotten my hopes up, perhaps, and I was just waiting for a huge bang, and it didn't deliver on the first episode. The second episode I enjoyed more, but the first one didn't quite do it for me.
No, I mean, look, here's the thing. If it's 9 episodes, and the way Paul Bettany was talking about what to expect with the last half of episodes in this season, he was building it to where it's like it's worth it. You know, it's building a story, because remember, this isn't self-contained. This is a 3-part arc. This is WandaVision. This is Spider-Man 3. This is Doctor Strange 2. So I think a lot of this is to build a story so that you don't have to focus on specific storylines about this in Spider-Man 3 or in Doctor Strange 2. You can progress it. So I think a lot about what they're doing is so we can kind of, all right, I see what's going on here. You're setting the table right before you rip the cloth from off the table. So to me, I do think I lend a little credence to what you're saying, Dan, that I think a lot of the excitement for is just because we've been craving Marvel. But I also do believe that the whole point of this is to set the table before you just start flinging plates and throwing forks and knives all over the place, because we can assume it's going to get crazy. And if it does get really crazy, then it was worth the buildup. It just has to pay off, I think. And I think if it pays off, I think that might lend more to your liking. But again, we have to see that it pays off for all the story here, So I do understand where you're coming from, because I have heard that from a few people. I mean, we started this show with someone saying, not really for me, not really. So you're definitely not alone there, but I will tell you, this episode could have been 4 seconds and just like a rabbit running around. I was like, Marvel's back.
Well, just wait until episode 3. Just wait until episode 3, I would say. Like episode 1 and 2, like if you think of it as a movie, right? Episode 1 and 2 is the first 10, 15 minutes of a Marvel film. And then episode 3 is that beginning when it's like, now we're going to get into the plot. Now we know where we're going. And then it just takes off from there. So I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's definitely setting up for something special. But episode 2, we obviously get more into Wanda and Vision wanting to become more into the town, figuring out clubs they can get into, stuff like that. what I think I really loved about this episode, besides, and I'm gonna let everyone else talk about it before I go into it, but Angel, me and you were here at the end when Wanda said that one word that I've been waiting my entire life for. It was just like, I love you all. But what I loved most about this episode was because I know a lot of people were saying Vision getting gum stuck in his gears, that wouldn't really happen. It's supposed to be comedy. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be, how crazy would it be if Vision was acting all drunk and crazy? So to me, I love the aspect of them playing with that. But what stood out to me in episode 2 was all the Easter eggs. All the Easter eggs that were just thrown all through it. The biggest Easter egg to me was the children. Let's do it for the children. The children. I don't know if anyone noticed. Won't no goddamn children in that town.
Well, that was really culty too. I mean, it scared me when they all started saying at the same time, "For the children, for the children." I'm like, keep the children away at this point.
And to me, my
some
theory.
Hot Fuzz that brought back some Hot Fuzz memories.
That's
No,
for sure.
Did anybody get 7 vibes when they were like, "What's in the box?"
Yes. Absolutely.
Also the nosy neighbor, Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
Hey,
For
think
sure.
about that.
So, where my mind went when they were egging on about conversations of children, and then we see at the end of the episode, Wanda then get pregnant. I think these are all Mephisto putting seeds in Wanda's head, because if you remember the comic, he needs her chaos magic. And I think the more she uses it, the more she exerts it, and he's just pulling it.
Speed and Wiccan.
So, go ahead, Leo.
I was just saying Speed and Wiccan.
Yes, absolutely.
Young Avengers.
So, I love this episode because and again, episode 2 is where you heard the devil's in the details. That's not the only place he is. Mephisto. Children being the obsession. Mephisto. Her saying no at the end. That's House of M, which is what? Mephisto. So I'm like, all these building blocks are like, I see what you're doing, and I'm going to love this payoff so dearly. I'm trying to see my notes here. Oh, also, the biggest thing, the Strucker. I loved it. I love the watch. Yeah. I love the watch. And if you guys saw inside the watch, it was the Hydra logo. Yeah. Obviously, episode 1 was to cater to Vision. Episode 2 is to cater to Wanda. Strucker being the reason Wanda is the way she is. I love how they did that. And if these commercials are going to mean what these last 2 have meant, I am so ready for it. I've not been this excited for a commercial since the halftime show at the Super Bowl. So it's like, I'm really looking forward to these commercials. They are nailing it.
It's like the old Bud Light commercials.
Exactly,
Yeah.
And it puts me in my feels just like Super Bowl commercials do too. I'm sitting here, oh my God, I love this so much.
I don't want to see the Clydesdale running down the street, damn it.
And I will say this also, another big moment. A lot of people were thinking when the lady was completely being mean to Wanda when they were having their little get together.
I hated her.
Okay, let me explain that, because a lot of people were like, oh, she's just doing that because that's like someone manipulating her. I think a lot of people forget the guy that was fired in episode 1 was her husband. And who took his spot? Vision.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more so she doesn't like these 2 new people who are coming in, changing everything, and kind of like forcing her out a little bit. I think that's just a little bit of.
I just think that was like typical catty neighborhood housewife.
Yeah. Right.
Like you always have that trope in like every single type of thing like that. She makes the talent show seem like it's the most important thing on the face of the planet, and
it's very tropey.
Very tropey. What'd you say, Dom?
No, it's the whole like, I have this charity. We're gonna come to this gala.
Yeah, and then
very
it's like
bad moms. Yeah,
and it's like, God forbid you take a bite of something. You weren't supposed to bite that right now. You're not supposed to talk. Shh. And I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, I could never.
And I want to give a huge shout out because no one's really talking about her, but I think a lot of people forget who she is. But a huge shout out to Geraldine. For popping up in this episode, who is Monica Rambeau, for a lot of people who are like, I have no idea.
I got so confused at first. I was like, Geraldine, you're not supposed to be Geraldine. Your name is Monica.
Exactly. So Geraldine popping up in here. I love that she's just like, I don't even know how I got here, but I'm loving it. And it's just like, what do you mean you don't know how you got here? Like, so I'm loving what they're building with her. And man, I'm just thinking about it. Just what they're gonna do with Monica Rambeau is gonna be insane. But anyway, let's move on. Ryan, I actually want to start with you, man. Your thoughts on episode 2.
So I gotta talk about kind of like the whole structure of it. I'm like this big sitcom junkie. So whether it's the Donna Reed show, Honeymooners, any of that stuff, going all the way down, sitcoms all the way. So I think this was good, but maybe my expectations were a little higher. So it's good, but it's like a B+ to me. So some of the stuff felt really like intentionally hammy, like it was a nod and a wink to that stuff rather than them being those characters. And I kind of get that because they're trying to structure it the way that they are, and then they're kind of breaking from it, and it's her slow mental break. That's why I think bad things are slowly integrating themselves into the show, like that bitchy whatever her name was. Yeah, I can't think of her name, but I think that's why all these negative things are permeating into her thought process, and that's why it's going the way that it is. I also with the gum thing, I knew they were doing that just so that they could set up the line "gumming up the works," which they use later, because it's that's that kind of thing for that time. And for this one being such a Bewitched kind of episode, I mean, I love that whole series. Probably watch it beginning to end probably 3 times in my life. So fantastic the way that they did it, the execution, the pratfalls that you see throughout this entire 2-run episode thing that we've got. I'm just really curious what the next one's going to be, because if it's 70s Brady Bunch, is that the thing they're going for next?
It could be. It could be like 60s Mary Tyler Moore, I think.
Oh, I would love to see Mary Tyler Moore show stuff.
Yeah, I want to ask you this, Ryan, before I move on to Will. How cool was it to hear Jimmy Woo, aka played by Randall Park, trying to reach out to Wanda, like in that whole moment where it's like, Wanda, like, can you hear me? I just like, I'm watching that and I'm just like, Wanda's looking at the radio just like, huh? And then like you immediately see snap out of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm loving how they're playing with this. It's like a tug of war. It's a tug of war, and when Wanda feels as though she has all the rope on her side, something chaotic just yanks it back from her, and she just does not know what to do when that happens.
And wasn't the voice saying like, Wanda, who's doing this to you?
Right.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Doing this to you, because what we see from the trailer, you see that this chaos magic is like, it looks like it's building a dome around wherever she is, and it's just like, I think they're trying to get into it, and it's kind of just like it's fighting her it's fighting them at every ounce, and getting through there is just like, Wanda, what is going on? And she's standing there like, nothing.
Yeah,
nothing, just chilling. Yeah. What would bro man say for Martin?
I'm 5x5. It's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I really love that, and I thought that was a great moment to put it in, where things are getting a little tense, and then you get it even more tense, where it's like, whoa, what's happening? And it's really good to hear Randall Park. I freaking love him.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing about the Randall Park thing. I kind of suspected it was Jimmy Woo, but at the same time, like, have we confirmed that he's the sword agent on the other end? Or is
I don't think that was him. I don't think that was him on the radio.
I didn't think that was him.
I like that was his voice.
Really?
It doesn't sound like him.
It sounded just like him from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
No, y'all, I don't think so.
I'm going back to Ant-Man and the Wasp, I guess.
I know that they've confirmed he's going to be in it.
Right.
Well, yeah, we've seen him in the trailer.
He's in 6 episodes of it, I believe.
He's got a very distinct voice. I definitely thought it was him.
But the thing was distorted. Like the radio was distorted.
But I'm gonna just say this: I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp not too long ago, and that sounds just like what he sounded like in that movie. Look.
Yeah.
This is not me confirming it or saying that it's 100%
Facts.
true. I'm just saying it's just. I mean, if it walks like a duck and then it starts to quack like a duck, Go
It's
ahead.
a duck.
I think that was a duck
Yeah.
on the other side of there.
I've seen him imitate Jim from The Office, so he can sound like whatever he wants. I'm sure.
Right.
That's true.
Michael.
He was
That
a
being
squirrel in
said,
that. Fun fact.
two quick things real quick. One is I love that it transitioned from Help Me Rhonda into like a Help Me Wanda kind of
Yep.
thing. I love that. And then I think it's like the Zarkov twins or whatever they are, or the couple. They're Glamour and Illusion in the comics. It's just real side kind of characters.
Yeah.
So calling them Glamour and Illusion when they're doing the magic bit, aces.
Absolutely. And really quickly, did anybody remember the boss from the first episode, how he was conveniently absent in the second episode, but his wife was there?
Yep.
Anybody else?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Notice that.
All right. So what I'm going to say to you guys is each week you watch it, keep an eye on who you saw before that is not in it then in the next episode. Because to me, I look at it as for anyone that I think disappears, I either think they're not real or they're sword agents that breached and are being pulled out. So that's why they're not still there. Like they failed at whatever they were trying to do, you know? So they're being pulled out. That's how I'm viewing it. So his wife being at that talent show and everybody that we've seen so far being at that talent show, but he's not there. Yeah. All right. Because someone was like, oh no, he's just, he's at work. I'm like, you mean he's at the job that nobody else is at? That's what you're telling me? He's the one guy that's like, I'm gonna go to work today.
Well, see, that goes back to my mental theory about how she's structuring it in her mind. I saw that as that was a character she created. He failed. He started to choke. She couldn't do anything about it, so she enlists Vision to help. But as soon as he's pulled out of that scenario, now it's like, I'm going to remove this problem from my mind, and then he's just not going to exist from here on out. But
I don't think she created him, because remember, she didn't even know what the day was, like why the day was so important.
Fair.
And then when she found out, she was just like, oh.
Okay. So,
All right.
maybe you're right.
Who knows? But I'm gonna go to you next, Will. Your thoughts on episode 2 of WandaVision?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Sorry I was late this evening, but just wanted to pop in and hear
a great time.
Yeah, hear some of the thoughts and stuff. I will freely admit I am not as well versed in some of the Marvel Easter eggs, but as far as the episode itself, I did like it better than the first one. Of course, any series it started out slow, but it ended strong. I thought as far as the second episode, but I definitely, given they're with these shows and everything, there's definitely like the every scene has a purpose, and as all of you all have discussed to this point, with the Stucker and some of the other elements from the episode, it's definitely one of those things you definitely bookmarking it for later in the remaining 7 episodes of this first season. So, so I think at first it took me a while to get into it, but once I did, I enjoyed the second episode overall. But but to be candid, I mean, I did have some mixed feelings about WandaVision so far. I mean, it's good, but I'm still reserving full judgment until we get further into the series.
That's completely fair. That's completely fair, because it's the first time Marvel's given us something in a show. A movie, we can kind of sit there and go, all right, well, if these 5 minutes were trash, I assume the rest of it will be really good. So in the show form, it's elongated. So it's like you have to wait. If it didn't catch you immediately, you have to wait a little bit more.
It's not bad. It's just, I think it was okay. Marvel sitcom, all right, it's working. I mean, as Ryan noted, with the elements from Dick Van Dyke, and I did think the first thing I did whenever I saw the second episode, I was thinking Bewitched. I had the same thought, which was that opening, and also the Jetsons and some of the old classic shows from back in the day. So I definitely got that vibe. So they're definitely carrying that through, which is a cool way to structure the series, because I have to give kudos to the creatives that they're taking a chance in the way they structured this series. So yeah. So so from that standpoint, totally glad they're taking that risk. And so far, even though I have mixed feelings about it, I'm glad it's not the standard tropes that we've gotten kind of used to with the MCU.
Right. It's showing you how it's willing to be different, and that's the kudos we gotta always give Feige. Angel, I'll go to you next. Your thoughts on episode 2, and did you notice the Mind Stone on his on the box?
No, I didn't notice the Mind Stone, but I thought overall episode 2, of course, was another charming addition to this show. Overall, I would say it was strange. Not just strange, but Doctor Strange in all its glory. I love all the points that you guys bring up, especially the children, the children being mentioned. Juwan, when me and you, Patrick, covered this and we're talking about, maybe Mephisto's involvement and stuff like that. Well, whenever we're talking about mysticism, magic, or children and stuff like that, especially in Marvel Comics, it always leads to one person. And that one person is Mephisto. I remember when Benedict Cumberbatch was announced for Doctor Strange, I was so excited because for the first time I was thinking, wow, the Marvel Cinematic Universe can actually get us to Mephisto, which I think is just such a remarkable villain and presence and an antagonist. And I feel him in the through lines of this show, which makes me so ecstatic because if they actually give us Mephisto, I mean, I feel like us Marvel fans will be able to say, wow, we really have seen it all. I mean, to get to Mephisto, that is absolutely insane to me. I would say the one thing that I was disappointed about this episode was realizing that the beekeeper was just a beekeeper out of all the things that we speculated. I mean, in our prediction, I was thinking maybe the beekeeper is going to be Mephisto or Nightmare, but no, he actually just turned out to be, it was a really bad day.
Yeah, what if he played the beekeeper? Yeah. You'll have to go back and listen to the episode on GeekVibes Nation, by the way.
I thought it was Swarm. Like when I seen him, I was like,
I did too.
God.
Right. I thought it was
dude.
Cool.
That would be so sick.
We didn't think we would see that character as quickly as we did. I think when we were guessing who he could be, we thought it would be like they would set up to get to that point. But when you see it in episode 2, like as soon as like you saw someone coming out, I was just like, I don't think they're revealing anything big.
I know, right?
Did you see what was going around on Reddit? They had they black and whited the face, and they made it look like it was some sort of alien or whatever. And
I saw someone on Twitter, and I didn't let my mind start to go, but they zoomed in, and they were just like, "That's actually Paul Bettany in that suit," and that it was just seeing a different version of Vision. It's just like what really startled her, and saying like, no, this this can't be happening, kind of thing. I really like that theory. I was like, oh, that's
cool. But speaking of that moment too, I thought that was probably my favorite moment of this episode. The moment of Wanda saying no, and when we start to see that fantasy break down, and we see her beginning to face reality, she rejects it, and I love that. I love that this show is really showing us how vulnerable the mind can be. And it really does lead itself to a very powerful moment. And once again, another vibe where it feels like a horror, like a psychological thriller, right? It's like the first episode during that dinner scene, that moment when she says no. It's so powerful. And it's like you said, Juwan, it's like an Easter egg for the no more mutants moment, which can lead to, like you mentioned before, mutants, where she creates the mutants itself. All that stuff is really exciting. But like you mentioned, this show is definitely planting the seeds for what is to come. Who is the next villain? What is the next antagonist? And I just think seeing Wanda come to a realization that this is the reality that she needs to face, it's all the more exciting to me.
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, when she said it, it caught me so off guard. I was just like, she's not about to say the whole thing, is she? And I was like, it started to freak me out for a second. I'm like, yo, she no more. What? We don't even have mutants yet, Mom. What are you doing? I love.
No, give me mutants.
Right? Give me mutants. That was actually one of my theories in our theory episode. But I love how they kind of dropped it a little bit when she said no. Like it was a definitive, a strong no.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's why I was
it showed how powerful she was. Like it reminded us, like,
right.
No matter what's going on here, no matter how crazy it is, if she decides something, she's got the power. You know?
And I will say this, because I
Totally.
told you guys, it's very possible we will never get the actual full House of M. That might have been Feige's way of giving it to us without ever fully committing to giving us the full thing. Because think about it, the events were the same. She screamed no, and it reversed things. Like things just reverted. So I mean, that could have been his way of like, I love you guys. You'll never really get this, but here you go, kind of thing. So that's how I saw it, and it made me cry for like an hour and a half. But anyway,
And just one more thing. Sorry,
yeah,
I wanted to add on to what Patrick said. He mentioned how the line that came up, "Who's doing this to you?" through the radio. I felt like that was also significant as well, to the point of where somebody is manipulating Wanda. I truly do believe that Mephisto is behind all of this. It could be either Mephisto or Nightmare, but I definitely do think that Agnes and Catherine Hahn is absolutely amazing in both of these episodes. She's definitely a standout for me.
She is
an absolute scene stealer. I love her in everything. I mean, her and Step
God,
Brothers alone, her and Step Brothers is absolutely hysterical, absolutely hilarious. So I love the energy that she's bringing to this show, but I definitely do think if you look at Marvel's casting track record, look what happened when we got Robert Redford. You know, what an icon. And for him to be such a great villain in Winter Soldier, fantastic. I think they're doing the same thing here with Catherine Hahn. I think she will be Agatha Harkness, like Patrick said. I do think she'll possibly be married to Mephisto, who she keeps mentioning. Ralph, why isn't he there all the time? Maybe she is actually married as a witch from the Salem trials. Maybe she is married to Mephisto himself. And maybe they have Nightmare do their bidding of taking care of Wanda or Doctor Strange. And what we'll see in Doctor Strange 2 is Doctor Strange, Wanda versus Nightmare, maybe Wanda versus Doctor Strange. And inevitably in Doctor Strange 3, we can see Doctor Strange versus Mephisto, the devil of the MCU himself. I think that would be epic.
I do also want to, as I pass it over to Chris, I do also want us to keep this in mind. They're playing off comedy tropes. And one of the biggest comedy tropes is that friend, guy or girl, that's always talking about a significant other that they have. So they seem cool, like they fit in. They're not the single friend. Yeah, my girlfriend. You know, it's like we never see her. She's always working. So it is very possible that they're just playing. They're playing with this a little bit of like, yeah. Of course, I got a husband at home. I have someone who loves me. I'm not at home just crying, eating ice cream. You know, they could just be playing with that. And there is really no one. There's really no one. So I want us to you know, throw that out there a little bit. So we don't get our hearts broken. But Chris, your thoughts on episode 2?
Really good episode again. You guys nailed just about all the points. I think probably my parts were basically, you know, you started out with some of the Easter eggs, and of course, the one for me, of course, I caught the helicopter right off the bat. You know, with the 57 on there.
Oh yeah.
And I knew immediately. I said that was the first time we saw Vision in the Avengers comic. That was one of the first times like I caught like immediately the second I saw it, like within like a half a second, that I knew exactly what that was. And then also the fact of you know, as we were talking about in episode 1, we were talking about the you know, the tribute and the homage to some of the older programs. The one thing nobody really talks about is remember the scene when you know, Vision and Wanda are in bed, but the beds are separated. And then she pulls the beds together. And if you think about it, you know, Bewitched was actually credited with being the series that actually showed the husband and wife actually being together in bed. You go back and look at all of the old, you know, the old TV shows and the sitcoms, the beds were split. You know, Lucy and her husband went in separate beds. Some of the other ones that were in separate beds, but they immediately put those together. I think a lot of people caught that. Or they caught the beds going together, but actually, you know, what that meant and what they were trying to say. You know, what they were pointing towards. You know, in that episode. But I thought altogether it was a awesome episode. And like was mentioned earlier too, the one thing it did catch that stood out to me was the fact about the beekeeper. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like we come to find out, okay, he's probably just you know, really who he's supposed to be. I guess that's who he's supposed to be. So, but I really liked the episode.
Now, one thing I want to point out to you guys, I'm sure you guys have noticed this, but keep an eye on this if you haven't. Anything in color seems to be what's actually real. Iron Man's repulsor on the little the little toaster thing. Iron Man was real. That helicopter, if you watch the trailer, there's a helicopter that looks just like that.
Beforehand. Yeah.
Right. I think everything in color is real. If you weren't thinking that, keep an eye on that for something that might show up in color that maybe is fake, and then I'm an idiot. Or if we see something else in color going forward, and it's like, okay, it seems like all the real is in color. But Leo, you're next up. Your thoughts on episode 2?
Oh my God, when we get into that Bewitched style intro, so good, man. I mean, that little animation and the way that they like dance through a little intro together, so good, so good. There's so much in this episode. I mean, like, oh man, the radio, that was a shocker to me. I don't think it's Jimmy Woo, and I know this might be weird. I think it could be Quicksilver. I thought at first it might have been Cap even, but of course Chris Evans is gone. But I don't think it's Jimmy Woo. I think that's too easy. I think that's just kind of like, boom, give it here, Jimmy Woo. I don't think it is him, but maybe it will be. So we'll have to wait and see. There are also like so many other things that I'm just probably totally overthinking. She keeps on saying Ralph, and I'm like, okay, is Ralph Mephisto? Is he possibly Cobalt Man? Is he Ralph Roberts? Are we bringing in mutants that way? Like, there's just so many things in this episode that's got me thinking, like, what the heck? But they do it again. They nail the great sitcom style. They keep it under 30 minutes to stay to that sitcom style. It's just a really good episode. You guys have really great things to say about this episode. I mean, it's just really, really good. But it again brings us back to those uncomfortable moments when Wanda sees that beekeeper and just says no, and it reverses time. Part of me wonders, is that somehow also altering reality to start opening up other multiverses? Every time she does that, is that like a small ripple in the actual reality that starts like opening things up, making the madness start happen? Because I saw that in the first episode with the husband, Mr. Hart, when he starts choking, he's like, okay, is that like ripple number 1? And then this one, is that ripple number 2? Are we going to keep on rippling every single episode? And also, I think every episode, every decade is like a reset button. I think it's kind of like Wanda goes to sleep and then she wakes up and it's a completely new universe to her liking. And whenever it's going to be something that comes along to derail that, she's going to snap it back into her own little happiness reality. And then the real reality is rippling. Also, I think Monica Rambeau is onto this all. I think she's aware of what's going on. Because when she introduces herself, she's like, I'm Geraldine. And she just kind of looks sketched out. I'm like, do you know what's going on? Like, are you here to maybe try to help Wanda or something like that? Because it seems to me like she knows something is going on here. And she knows she's Monica Rambeau. She's fully aware, but she has to be covert for something.
Do you think she's an agent of SWORD?
Yes.
Possibly.
100%.
I definitely think
I mean, I think
100%.
I think that's 100% because if you think about it, she was the daughter of Captain Marvel's childhood friend.
Totally. Yep.
So I believe Captain Marvel, along with Nick Fury, created SWORD, and then they recruited her along with what's her name, Darby from whatever her name is from Thor. That was
Darcy.
Darcy, I believe, is in SWORD.
Yes, she is.
Doctor now.
Randall Park's character, I believe, is in SWORD. I think all these characters are part. They're our SWORD branch. Which, by the way, SWORD is the new SHIELD. I know a lot of people like SWORD and SHIELD. It's replaced SHIELD completely. Because they know threats are coming from outside, not here. But yeah, so I do think they're all a SWORD team. And yeah, there's more to meet the eye for a lot of these characters that we'll definitely find out, it looks like. Dom, I'll go to you next, man. Your thoughts on episode 2?
Man, I think one of the funnier parts to me that a lot of people might... it could be a bit of a reach for me, but because it's a small thing. But when she first sees Monica, and Monica says like she doesn't know why she's there, it kind of seemed like, yeah, because you're like black and this is the 50s. Like, you'd be like, hey.
Oh my God.
No, the end of the episode kind of shows you how dark the show can possibly be, because Wanda is very happy in this realm that she's in, put herself in. and she's willing to do whatever she has to do to stay in it. She wants to fit in. She wants to, you know, she's wearing the pants. She's like, am I wearing the right thing? And they're like, yeah, man, you probably should have worn a dress. But yeah, she's completely committed to, this is going to be my life. And anything that interferes with that is going to get erased. I did see a couple of theories earlier that, which it could all be rolled in together. But, you know, when we see the beekeeper and we see the sword logo, but also the suit kind of resembles AIM, which I had kind of thought at one point, but I was like, but I mean, you know, Feige can do what he wants to do and make things work the way they're going to work if he wants to. So can AIM show up? Maybe. I don't know. But just that beekeeper thing is just it threw me off. And I did think Swarm 2 initially. I was literally just reading about this guy the other day. Maybe this is going to be a possibility. So I feel like there's an infinite amount of things they can kind of do with some of those things, especially because if she does reset, say it is like every episode, different decades, she reset, you could have every little thing that needs to fit be in there for that much time. She just like, nah, I don't like that. But you know, yeah, this episode was very good. I like the magic show especially when she's when Vision picks up the piano and she turns it into like cardboard, and he's like, that was my mom's piano. Like, yeah. I don't know what y'all looking at. Like, but there's a lot of good moments. I mean, we saw when they were meeting at the library. That was clearly, after getting to the end, that was clearly probably a sword meeting that they were trying to have, and he walked into, and they're like, oh shit, yeah, man, we just gossip like everybody else does. So there's a lot of things and I'm gonna have to watch it. I watched it twice. I have to watch it again to kind of take some more notes down, because this is one of those shows that we don't know where it's going, and that's kind of why I like it so much. Is I like anything can happen, and after the third one, still anything can happen, and it gets that much more better.
I'm completely with you, man. And I like that they were having a sword meeting at that library. I didn't even think of that. I like that, Dom.
Yeah.
Did you notice, by the way, in that meeting when Vision called out one of the other people for being a communist, and they all kind of laughed it off, and it was like, and Vision was just kind of like, "What's everyone laughing at?" I mean,
so right.
That definitely, I feel like, wasn't put there by mistake.
Yes.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Tia, I'm gonna go to you. Your thoughts on episode 2?
Yeah, I really liked episode 2, staying within the black and white sitcom-y era. This is really small, but I love the whole scene of them pushing the two beds together, like Chris was saying. I love the homage. I also kind of like that they were a little like raunchier in the show. You know, I mean, we obviously know what we know they were like, what's the expression? Knocking boots, kicking boots. I don't know what the expression was in Infinity War, but then we definitely know in WandaVision, because the way they were looking at each other, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, little adults here. All right.
Yeah, they were definitely super. No one talks about this, but they were very like super horny in episode 1 and 2 for sure.
Oh,
100%.
Oh yeah, in episode 1, Vision, like in reality, should have just told his boss and the wife to take a hike. He's like, "Do you see my wife in that dress right now?"
You guys gotta go home.
So that was great. And I loved, as much as that woman like pissed me off in that scene with Wanda, I did like that whole little thing, because it was showing. First of all, it introduced Monica. It showed how like willing Wanda was to even fit into this world, because it's like, Wanda, what do you care if you're wearing the right slacks? What do you care about the cookies and all that? You're an Avenger, but she's just wanting to live in this world so badly. And I thought, again, the best thing about these 2 episodes, like, again, Elizabeth Olsen is freaking amazing and deserves everything. But I think these 2 episodes really go to just how funny Paul Bettany is. And yeah, it's a little kooky, but I'm eating it up, because it's like, wow, Paul Bettany just needs more comedy roles, I guess. But I really liked it. It gives a lot of personality to Vision, a character who's just been sort of stiff this whole time. I really liked it. I did. And I think it was kind of funny, the whole gum thing, and how easy that could have been like fixed if he would have just told Wanda, like, hey, I'm feeling a little wacky, because she took that thing out in like 2 seconds. That whole disaster could have been avoided.
I mean, he also could have stuck his own hand in there and pulled it out.
Yeah, he could have just phased out of it.
Yeah,
well, he wasn't in the right mind. He wasn't in the right mind.
Yeah.
I like that it kind of made him drunk a little bit too. That was great.
Yeah,
that was the equivalent.
I'm like, wow, even outside of reality, Vision has no idea how certain things work.
Right.
But
God help him if he could get drunk.
Right. He was spilling the beans with everything. He was like,
right.
He did it. I'm a hero. She's a hero. But I go
it's also really quick. I'm so sorry. It was also showing like how almost very Truman Show, where people are just so willing to kind of accept the glaring like problems. I mean, the way that Wanda kind of just made a crane happen, and people are like, oh look, yes, they're being held up by strings, and like the piano incident, just like how willing these people are to accept, even though things are so off and the signs are completely there. And so that makes you again more so think, are they figments of this false reality? Do they actually exist? If they do actually exist, why are they so naive? So it's really cool. I love it. And I did love that little interaction between Agnes and Wanda, where she pretty much told her, like, you done messed up wearing those pants, but you know, it's too late for that now.
Right.
KJ and Patrick, I'll pass it to you guys to end this for the night. Your thoughts on episode 2?
Well, for me personally, I loved it. I really do, because I mean, like we talked about in the preview show, this is the return of the MCU, and it's not in any like what we would consider like the normalcy that we would expect it in, you know, the cinematic, you know, like going to the movies and stuff like that. So like having the adaptation of, we're going to create this, you know, 8 episode, I can't remember, but you know, we're gonna create a 9 episode movie to continue with all the holdups that we've had throughout this horrible, you know, or the past horrible year of 2020. That, you know, just the little things of, number one, seeing Wanda and Vision back was just like, yes, that's what we needed. We were expecting Black Widow in May of 2020. That got shut down. Now we're here where we are. And it's just like, all right, cool. Let's move forward. And I think they did it fantastic. You know, them taking that big swing, I like it, because it's a complete escape of what we expect from the quote unquote cinematic universe as far as movies go. But now we can, you know, I take the perspective of, this is an 8 episode movie now. It's not just, you know, even if it's a 3-hour movie in the theater, you're getting more bang for your buck now. So let's embrace this.
And that's part of, like, I think wrapping your head around, this is going to develop slower, because we have more time to develop this. And so you're getting more of Wanda and Vision than you ever have before, including, you know, I mean, this hysterical side of Vision. I don't think that there's ever been enough Vision in the movies for anyone to even form a strong opinion about him. You know,
other than, he's starting to crush on Wanda.
And so here we are in, you know, watching this relationship happen, and then seeing him just be absolutely hysterical.
Right.
I mean, that was the first time I felt like, oh my God, I'm really digging watching Vision. There's never been a point where I've been like, man, this scene with Vision, like Vision was on it. But this, Paul Bettany and everything that he was doing, hopefully is going to make some of the people watching who don't have that knowledge of Vision from the comic books understand what a great addition he is to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's kind of what I was excited about, is them being able to, and these are just the first 2 episodes. Now we get to really play this out, and I've been excited for so long to see more of Wanda and for more people to see more of Wanda because she's so amazing, but also now getting that story with Vision too, that hopefully people will be as excited about these characters as they got about Iron Man and Captain America, who, when we started this, people weren't really that excited about them either.
Right.
So, trust the formula. When Iron Man came out, most everybody was like, why is Marvel putting out Iron Man? So if you're in a space where it's like, what are they doing with this WandaVision show right now? Put a little trust in them that they're going to get you to that place that they got you with all of these other characters.
For what now? 12 years that we are on.
And also, go
sorry.
ahead, Tia.
No, I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. I was totally going to go off topic, so please. Cut me off.
I was going to say it is definitely a gamble, because they could have started with the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. They could have started with the Loki show, both shows that I'm sure will feel similar to what we've seen in the MCU. Obviously, with Falcon and Winter Soldier show, we'll have a lot those Winter Soldier feels. Loki, I'm sure, will have like this sort of Ragnarok feel to it. Even though that too looks a little trippy, it still looks like something familiar. WandaVision's completely unfamiliar for us.
Yes.
So I agree, obviously, with what Dan was saying, and I believe Ryan was saying, where like, the first episode was maybe a little slower, and these first 2 episodes definitely are setting the foundation down. And I think moving forward, we'll see a lot more, and we'll be even more excited for our next time.
Well, and I think when you see that Marvel, like that opening trailer, when you see the Marvel Studios logo start spinning around and seeing all the credits, you expect superhero. There's a problem, we're gonna fix it. And that's not the case. Correct. That's not the case for this show. I think that's the uniqueness of it.
Yeah. This is more so your superhero is the problem. And to end this out for the night, I just want to remind people that, again, if Wanda is the villain of Doctor Strange 2, if indeed that is the case, to where she's somewhat the villain,
I'll be rooting for her.
I want to pay closer attention to how we view this. And it's why I said I don't think she's being manipulated into creating this false world. I think she's creating this false world and will do whatever it takes to keep it. And that's where the villainy of Wanda will come in, is because Strange might pop in at the end of this series and be like, yo, I don't know if you noticed this, but you're affecting everything.
Well, and I'll say one last thing for the night. In the trailers, I believe there is a point where all this stuff is going on. You see Wanda go, "This is our world," and Vision's like, "So let's protect it." And like they hold hands and everything. So I think even in the trailers, they're trying to, they're at some point going to have to do this stand against the people who are trying to, bring them back to reality.
None of us thought of this, but Tia, I love you for just reminding me of that exact line, because if Vision said, then let's protect it, why are none of us thinking that maybe Vision, instead of him being in a hallucination, what if Vision's Mephisto?
That would make me so sad. I'm sorry. I'm like such a
because when you think about it, he's playing into Wanda, like into the idea that none of this is real. He's playing into it because he's questioning everything. He's like, what is going on here? But it's like, I'm going to feed into it.
Okay. But then if that happens, like, can we agree that Wanda is like the most, like, I know a lot of bad stuff has happened to other characters, but Jesus, the bad stuff that's happened to frickin' Wanda. I mean, experiment on her family, her brother, Vision, this, that, and
I'm
it's
sorry.
like,
I'll never say someone lost more than Thor. But
oh well, that's it.
KJ, KJ, I'll kick it back over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, from the chat and a couple of comments, put this out to maybe Angel, because you've talked a lot about Mephisto and Nightmare and stuff. For some of the people who are watching who have no idea who those characters are, that they've just lived in the movie world of the MCU, where is a good place to catch up on that? There were several people that were like, I need to read up, I need to understand this more. Where do they go to? Maybe we're never going to be experts like you guys, but to just get a little bit
for the kind of nerdy crowd.
Right. I'm representing the kind of nerdy network here when I say, like, what do we do if we want to understand this a little bit more? Where do you go?
Juwan, you want to lead off with some comics?
Oh, House of M for sure. House of M is what you start with. Really, if you read House of M, you're good. Don't worry about anything else. There's also there's also a West Coast Avengers storyline that is very crucial to what's happening right now. And then there's a comic of, I can't remember the name of it. You guys will help me.
Vision and the Scarlet Witch, maybe.
Yep, Vision.
No, I was thinking. In the reality where Vision has his two Vision children.
The Vision, the Vision.
Yeah. That comic is also very important, I would assume, to what's going to happen in this. But like I said, you guys just read House of M.
Yeah.
Completely fine. It'll answer everything for you. But also put in the back of your head, a lot of what you're reading probably will never see the light of day. It's like if you read Civil War and then watched the movie. It's not the same thing.
Hey, Juwan.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that's in the chat that's into some of the older stuff, like maybe some of the Silver Age comics and all that, look up some of the the Silver Surfer and the Thor comic books too.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Mephisto is a character that, look, let us know, guys, if you want a few of us to do a small little 15-minute video breaking down Mephisto and some of the better comics to get into, we will. But House of M, you read it, you'll be fine. You'll come back to us and go, I get it, guys. But that's gonna be it for us tonight. Breaking down episode 1 and 2 of WandaVision. I'm gonna give a few shout outs here. I want to start off with KJ and Patrick. Please, if you guys are not following, follow Kinda Nerdy Girls and Kinda Nerdy Dudes immediately. Amazing content.
KJ, shucks.
You guys just dropped an episode, right?
Yes. We did. So we have a regular episode that is out new right now, and then our 2 latest interview episodes are talking with William Shatner, and which was ridiculous. And I just said that like I was talking with William Shatner. Holy crap! It was talking with William Shatner. And then also Martin Cove from Cobra Kai. They were both really fun to talk to.
That's so cool.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. All I hear is Cobra Kai, like on my timeline, like Cobra Kai. I'm like, all right,
because it's amazing.
Right?
At some point.
So
you need to check it out for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I literally know most of you on here have been raving about it. So at some point,
actually, I'll make a promise now. I'm not doing another podcast with you until you watch Cobra Kai.
Yes!
We'll say this
Yes!
We'll say this now, so you guys can go ahead and get angry with me. I've never been interested or seen any of the Karate Kids, so I got to start.
You don't need to.
You don't have to.
You should watch
No, Cobra Kai straight up.
I hated the Karate Kid, and I love.
Yeah, I didn't watch Cobra Kai before. I didn't watch Karate Kid before Cobra Kai. It does a good enough job explaining things. It does little clips in between, blah blah. And I'm with Will. I went and actually watched Karate Kid after finishing the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is bad.
Look, I didn't say that. I just said I didn't see it. So that's
don't waste your time. I mean, you can watch Karate Kid 1 and 2. I mean, I don't spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
3.
I'm not
and 3. Yeah.
And 3. Yeah, we definitely watch 3 because that'll help you with some of the things that are going on now. But
yeah, it's self-sustaining. It's very
Yeah.
self-sustaining. You're good.
I want to reiterate.
Come on, Miss.
Yeah, sorry, didn't
This
we-
Karate Kid slander, man. I'm not into this.
Right?
I want to reiterate.
It's not the kid.
for our
It's more
viewers.
slander.
To quote Wanda, no.
Just so I'm clear, it's more Daniel slander. I was not a fan of Daniel. I'll just leave it.
Thank you. I
What?
did not root for
Come
him.
on.
Daniel is a voice fighter.
It's all about
Okay.
Johnny.
Anyway, we are gonna move on here, but I just want to remind people that was Will and that was Tia. That was not Juwan's words. Anyway, make sure you guys check out Angel of the Goat Movie podcast. Angel, you have put out numerous fleets and videos leading everybody up to this weekend. You got a new episode you want to let everyone know about?
Oh yeah, next week on Tuesday, I believe January 19th, we're gonna have a special guest. We're gonna have Matt Ramos from Soups
I thought you almost said
come
Matt
in
Reed.
and Man, are you kidding me? I wish. No, but Matt Ramos is also awesome too. You guys should check out his content. He's a brand creator of Soups. I really love the stuff that he's doing, so I can't wait to have him on and talk about who should direct Superman, 2 Batman franchises running at the same time and doing a Q&A there. But yeah, feel free to follow me on Twitter at GoatMoviePod or my personal account at Blu-ray Angel. But definitely, get everybody's contact here and follow them here because everyone here remarkable and the content that they put out. What a pleasure it was to talk with you guys and hear your experience.
Absolutely appreciate that. And 2 different Batman, 2 different universe. Shame on you.
Settle down, you want
Easy.
That's the way to get him really angry.
Woosah. Come on.
We're gonna get him back. Come on.
Nah, it's still unacceptable. Chris, aka Prime of the SportsBar podcast. Make sure you guys follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Chris, you and Mike usually do Facebook Lives on Sunday, right?
Usually Sunday mornings. We won't right about 10:30ish. We won't be doing one tomorrow. We've got some other obligations. But I will quickly say, we talk more than sports. With SportsBar, that's our anchor, but we talk, music, hip hop, movies. We have our segment coming back now that football season is winding down called Run It Back, where we go back and revisit old movies and we talk about them. But yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely upset Chris by saying Training Day was overrated. So make sure you
we're gonna discuss that later.
The movie?
Yeah, make sure you guys tune into that.
We're building a pretty big list of things to discuss.
Right. And it's
That's
all
a
like
terrible-
aimed at Jawan. Yeah. This is awesome.
That's a terrible take.
Hey,
Dude, he's on PCP, baby. It's Angel
they
Just. It's
call
fine.
me Hot Take
Put it in
Jay
cases
for-
on all of you.
They call me Hot Take
Hey, at least I didn't say Training Day was like overrated or something.
Right?
Hey, I
Yeah,
stand
what
by it.
the-
I do not fear that ledge.
Bad.
I stand on it. I
Wow.
do the Michael Jackson lean on that ledge. Next up, Leo, who actually did an episode where you broke down WandaVision, I think a day or 2 ago, and let everyone know where they can check out new episodes from you.
Come on over to Geekly Goods, guys, a channel. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter at Leo Rydell. I'll be doing a lot more live streams coming up here. I've been doing like sporadic breaking news live streams, but I'm going to be doing it every day starting next week. So I'd love to have some of you guys on the channel too, because this is such a brilliant crowd. Like, Juwan, thanks for having me on, man. Like, such great creators here. I love talking movies and TV shows and comics with everybody around the Geekverse, guys. And it has been such a pleasure coming on with you guys again. And man, it's been super fun. And oh my God, KJ Patrick, seriously, Martin Cole? Oh my God, y'all. Like, wow. Thanks for having me on though, Juwan. And thanks for chatting with me, guys. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. Next up, I want to go to Will of Scene and Nerd. You and Sarah are doing an amazing job over there, breaking down literally everything. There's nothing that's off limits with you guys. Huge shouts out to you guys. What can we expect from you guys coming up?
Great. Well, thank you so much for having us. We have Sarah and I are both, well, I'm in North Carolina, she's in Alaska, so we always figure out some way to, work through the time zone issues and able to put out content every week. But our next show, we're recording Monday night. We're going to be covering, of course, WandaVision, but also one of our bread and butter go-to is the Arrowverse. So of course, Batwoman returns tomorrow night.
Yes.
So
yes.
So we're very excited to talk about Javicia and seeing season 2 of that show. So we'll be recapping it as well. And of course, all the latest news has happened. Is Chris Evans coming back? Is he not? So we'll give our takes on that. So we usually drop our shows. We usually record Monday nights, drop them on late Monday, Tuesday morning. So come check us out at Scene and Nerd. That's our Twitter handle. And we're also on Facebook, and we're also on Instagram at scene_n_nerd. So you can check us out on Instagram as well. My personal feed is at Will and Polk, WILMPOLK. Sarah's personal feed is SJ Belmont, SJBLELMONT on Twitter. So come check us out, follow us. Love to see you guys. We also have our YouTube channel too, so please subscribe. We're trying to get to, trying to do a little bit of live things there as well. We just did a Wonder Woman rewatch right before the holidays in prep for Wonder Woman 84. Decided not to do one for the movie, just for, if you listen to our podcast dropped this past week, you'll understand why. But but thanks for always having us and always sharing our content, and look and love all the content from all you guys been putting out as well. KJ, Leo, Angel, I definitely got to check out your show. And thanks for having us. Dan, you too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to the man who knows how to put a smile on my face and make me cry at the same time, Dan from They Called This a Movie. I did listen to the latest podcast that definitely made me really emotional. Dan, Tia, thank you guys. But no, Dan, definitely want to highlight you guys just dropping the episode of They Called This a Movie, breaking down Wonder Woman 1984, and you guys were just saying how it deserves an Oscar, a Grammy, an Emmy. You guys are just really, really supportive of it. So, I wanted to give you a shout out for that.
Oh yeah, it's that's an AFI top 100 movie if I've ever seen one. It's man, so good. I'm actually a little nervous that WandaVision is on the same course with Wonder Woman 84. Just wishing things. I wish this would be this way. So I kind of had to pull back because I'm more Marvel than I am DC. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to defend WandaVision now, aren't I? No, I appreciate the shout out, and thank you to Tia for joining us. We would love to have all of you guys on at one point or another to make Juwan cry. And anytime, man, we would love to have anyone. We have new episodes every Thursday. You could follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Main Damie. And follow my co-hosts, Anthony and Mark. I don't know theirs off the top of my head. I think it's at Off the Mark Tweet and at Ant Delvec. I could be wrong. I should know these.
Oh my gosh, you sound like me, Dan. I didn't even plug where you could listen to us. So
just be careful.
You're further along than I am.
Just be careful to whatever those wrong Twitter handles are that Dan just sent you off
to. Proceed with caution, possibly. But, I'm kind of off put by how everyone is so nice here. It's weird. I'm not used to nice people. Keep up the good work to all of you people, and just keep putting out great content. That's really it. Name of the game.
I will say, Dan, you're gonna stop making it sound like New Jersey is the worst place ever.
Oh, it's super terrible. New Jersey's awful.
I swear, I had someone go, "Is New Jersey that bad?" I'm like, yeah.
Hey,
at least your state is legalizing a certain something before New York is. So you got that one up on us here.
Black tar heroin.
Be more passive.
No,
I mean, I'm in. Let's do it.
It's pot.
Oh, you think that's what's legalized for sure?
Well, shit.
Huge shouts out. I love talking to Ryan. We have great conversations often, man. Huge shouts out to you. Let us know when we can find new content from the Nerd Rage podcast.
Well, being on stuff like this always makes me a little bit more excited to get new stuff out there. So thank you for having me on. I always appreciate it. And just follow us on Twitter, my personal account, or on the Nerd Rage podcast. And we'll be putting out new stuff, Easter eggs, all that stuff that you guys need to know about. So thanks.
Absolutely. And that's all we got because no one cares about Tia. No, I'm joking. It's Saturday, so that means definitely there'll be a new top 10 coming soon. So Tia, did you want to plug top 10?
Yeah, absolutely. So last week's top 10 was the top 10 worst movie sequels. So you can check that out at GeekVibes Nation. Top 10 with Tia, me and Brittany do our top 10s every week. Tomorrow is going to be the top 10 most versatile actors, or versatile, sorry, whatever. Make sure you check it out. I love doing these podcasts with you guys because I'm super big fans of all of you, not just as content creators, but as people in general. It's nice, like being able to talk with nerdy people that aren't like angry or something like that, because for some reason everyone's angry in the nerd like scene these days. No one likes what they're actually having. So I just love it talking with you guys. And I will say, Dan, thank you guys for having me on They Call This a Movie. I loved talking Wonder Woman 1984 with you guys. I have an idea though. So we did Wonder Woman 84. You've done Justice League. To really make Juwan cry, you gotta do Batman versus Superman.
Yes. I am down for that.
I would. Can the kind of nerdy conglomeration be on this? Pretty please.
All I'm gonna say is, Dan, I feel like I've been a good friend to you.
Now, do we have to do the original cut or the super deluxe? So,
it has to.
Why would you waste your time with the extra?
Of course has to be like it. Of course has to be the Snyder cut that adds 3 more hours and puts things in black and white, and they throw in Hallelujah at some point. You know,
I see Juwan, like it's a bad thing, but it sounds amazing to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Juwan, it's probably good thing Sarah's not on because she would just completely just break your heart about Batman v Superman.
Remember when Tia was just talking about how nice we all are?
We are nice. We're all coming together for a single mission.
Let's team up on Juwan Hour right now.
Yeah,
if you donate in the next 10 minutes, we're gonna double Juwan's pain.
Yeah, exactly. This is why it keeps me around, guys. 3 years.
Juwan, you're in control of the button that says end meeting for all.
I keep forgetting that. That's right. Let me go ahead and no, but Dom, you have been pouring out articles left and right and left and right. What's the latest article that you dropped, man, that we can go check out?
The last one was One Night Miami. We will have one dropping on Monday for the documentary MLK/FBI. Celebration of the holiday. And I know I had said it before, but I had some patching audio issues. But I have revamped my podcast, Chopping It Up with the Homies. I was able to kind of, outside of some interviews, make some friends with some of the directors and a few actors. And we're going to try to do some stuff that's not solely focused on their work, but them as a person. And because it's like a philosophical pop culture podcast. I tried to bring it back earlier in the year, and the podcast gets kind of heavy. And with things going on, I didn't want to really fly off of the handle too much of things I would want to say, because I'm trying to reel myself back in. I used to kind of fly off the handle and have to edit some stuff that so I ain't trying to do that no more. But yeah, that will be back very soon. I have one in the chamber that just has to be scrubbed a little bit. And I think I probably have about 3 reviews coming this week. I think The Dig, the MLK one, the White Tiger, and there's one more. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, back to back. Email full. We're going to keep dropping as much as possible. And then I have another idea that I might want to run by you, Juwan, or Tia, or whoever wants to be involved with I'll let y'all know. I ain't gonna say it on air, but
exclusive.
It's an interesting concept that I thought about that might be some fun, that might get you a little inebriated in the process. So
yes.
All right. What a
Totally down
tease.
for that. All right, guys. You can follow me. Just follow GeekVibes Nation. I don't really.
How very succinct and to the point.
No, but seriously, I just did a interview with Javicia, Batwoman. So stay tuned for that. That was a lot of fun.
Super cool.
She was a blast. And she, talked about a lot of really cool stuff leading up to the season premiere tomorrow night. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And besides that, just please continue to. That's why I put everyone's names in their companies. Follow everybody. It's great content everywhere. There's everything. So make sure you guys tune into that. And thank you again for watching the MCR, the Marvel Cinematic Review Show. We cannot wait to break down episode 3. Hurry up, release it on Wednesday, Feige. But we will see you guys at the same time, same place next week. Till then, peace.